Hey, what is going on? Luke Hart here. So we had a really rough spot getting going tonight, but I am glad to be on. We have some really cool stuff ahead of us tonight. We are going to be doing we're going to be finishing up the adventure creation that we began some time ago. I think it's been a couple months. This should be the last part to it, though. All we need to do tonight is generate loot for our adventure. So that'll be really fun. We're going to be cracking open the Dungeon Master Guide and just looking at the tables there, rolling and generating loot there. It's going to be lots of fun, so I'm looking forward to that. And we're probably not going to take the entire 2 hours to get that done, so we are probably looking at some Q&A toward the second half of this live stream. So that should be fun. I do want to let you guys know that if you are catching this on the replay, I will do my best to put down in the description like hyperlinks to the interesting bits of this so that you can kind of jump around to the things that you find interesting. Also, I have for you guys, down in the description below, there are links to a couple different things. First of all, there's a draft of this. So this adventure we've been creating is called Trouble in Roundhill. It's about corrupted gnomes and lots of cool stuff. But there is a draft down, or there's a link to the draft down in the description down below, so you guys can look at that and follow along if you want or whatever. And there, I will also, once we get done with tonight, I will update that link, that document down in that link, so that you guys can all get the final version of this adventure as well. So that's down there, and I think I put a link to something else down there. I forget what it was. If you want us to look at part 1 of this collaborative adventure creation, link to that is down there as well. If you want to watch all of these live streams from the very beginning, that's down there. So there we go. So let's see who's on here with us today. I don't know if Dudes It's Noodles is still on. He had a question, so we'll get to his question in the second part of the live stream tonight. And Cody Lee, what's going on, dude? Good to see you, man. Glad you could make it. Little CMB, what's going on, dude? We Write Weird Stuff is in the house. Good to see you, man. We Write Weird Stuff is one of my patrons, so thank you for supporting the channel, man. I appreciate it. 4 Elemental, what's going on, dude? How you doing? Who else we got? Ender Knight 1500, what's going on, dude? Swan Master Flex. All right. Oh yeah, good point, Swan Master. You are here now, so we can begin. Point well taken. All right, sweet. We got some folks in the house. So I want to pop over to our adventure then. You know, the interesting thing too is that I started prepping for the live stream like a couple of hours ago, around 6 o'clock. Actually, I prepped like a few days ago to get some of the stuff ready. And then around 6 o'clock, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start doing some practice streams, make sure everything's going well. You know, I needed to adjust my white balance on my camera. I was like way super white, and so I'm like playing around with all this stuff. And then I think it was about 15 minutes before the live stream began, it might still be that way, but my stream status was like, I was getting a bad stream status. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna reset my router. I'm gonna unplug my router and my like modem. I'm just gonna like, you know, let it sit there and rest and maybe give it a fresh start. Maybe that'll help clean things up. And that was a really stupid decision because that's what led to the late start here. As everything decided to go to crap, I had to restart my computer, and then all of my special screens that I had all ready to go, I had to reload all those. So that was a really bad decision. I should have just gone with a bad stream quality, I suppose. Anyway, moving on from that, that is the sorrows, the crying and whining of doing a live stream and having stuff not go well. So anyway, let us take a look. I just want to give a quick little look-see at the current adventure that we have going on, because what we're going to be doing is we are going to be we're going to be generating the loot. We're going to create the loot, and then we need to place the loot throughout the adventure. And this is actually something, this is my kind of my standard work stream. A lot of times I will generate the entire adventure before I generate the loot. Or a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get about halfway through creating an adventure, and then I'll be like, oh, I should probably start placing loot throughout the adventure. But you could do it either way. What we're going to be doing this time is we've already pretty much created most of the adventure, and now we are going to just create the loot, and then we're going to go back through the adventure, and we're going to decide where to put the loot. Now, this is a 4th level adventure, so most of the loot is going to be like gems and coins and stuff like that. We might get lucky on the magic tables and roll a magic item or something. And then we can put that somewhere. So we do have one other thing. Little CMB, he left some comments in the replay of the last live stream about some changes to make to the adventure. So we're going to be taking a look at that real quick too. And then once we get that done, which won't take too long, I don't think, we will do some loot generation. Now, there are, what was I going to say? I forgot. I was going to say something. I forgot. All right, whatever. It was about loot generation. And, so regarding, like, going by the tables. So the DMG, like, I'm just going to look at this real quick. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. The DMG has an entire section about creating, let's see if I get the right one. There we go. That looks good. So the Dungeon Master Guide has an entire section about treasure, right? We're looking at it right now. And we can just go by the book. Obviously, there are tables that we can roll on, and we can randomly generate the loot. Much of the time, I just roll on the tables when I'm generating loot. And that's how I do it. And whatever the tables say is what the party gets for the most part. Occasionally, I will tweak things here and there. If I feel like I just want to give out a magic item, I might just throw it in there. Other times, the loot tables might go crazy and reward them with like crazy amounts of magic items, and I might just pull some out. So it's up to the DM discretion. Obviously, I tend to kind of play it by what the tables say to do, and I think they're okay. Nothing horrible has usually resulted from that approach, but obviously up to the DM's discretion on how he wants to approach that. So let's take a quick look at the adventure itself. Let's just do a little cursory overview here. For Elemental says something about baby lambs. I don't think I want to know the context of that conversation. So this is Trouble in Round Hill. This is what we began creating. There are gnomes in it. There are werebats, stone defenders. There are potion. The gnomes are corrupted. They're throwing potions from the back of like ogres and stuff like that. We have a shambling mound. There is this. I'm going to show you. Oh, I don't have that open. Stand by. I need to open my map up. See, I had all these maps ready to go, and then that map needs to be rotated. Stand by. See, I had all this stuff ready to go for you guys, and then everything went to crap. And so now I need to find out how to rotate a map. There we go. So this is one map that we created. Well, I should say I created it because I still need to figure out a good way for us to be able to create maps, for me to be able to draw things and you to see it. Actually, I think I have a second webcam I could probably hook up somewhere, and then I can draw things. I could get one of these like little arms that kind of comes down and has a webcam pointing straight down at my desk, so I can like draw stuff for you all. So one day we will get that hooked up. Baby steps. So we created, this is like the map of Round Hill right here. You basically have a gnome village, as you can see, and there is a, garden at the center of it, which has some special interesting stuff. The garden actually has in it the herb that can be used to conduct an antidote to the corruption that's spreading through the gnomes. So I'm not going to give a total overview of this story, of this adventure. I think lots of the people that I see in the chat here have been here before, so you're probably fairly familiar with this. And if I give you a huge summary of what's going on, then we will not get time to do everything we want to do tonight. So we're just going to assume that we have a general idea of what's going on. This is a cave system that is in the latter part of the adventure here. And, I mean, we have a legitimate adventure here, as you can see. We have fleshed out tons of crap here. Lots of cool stuff going on. And so now I had a couple notes from little CMB. And so his comments, when we were creating this one room, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was this werebat den, and we put these werebats are immune to any melee weapon that attacks them. If it's not silvered, then these werebats are completely immune to the damage. Now these are level 4 characters. There is a very, very good chance that level 4 characters are not going to have magic items at this point. In fact, I usually don't give out. My cat is, we had this conversation several live streams ago about me putting my power strip up in a spot where my cats can't walk over it, and I still haven't done that. And so I see a cat like walking under my desk, and I freak out that he's going to turn my power strip off, and then everything will go dark. But anyway, one day I'll actually take your all advice and get that done. But my point was, what was I talking about? Oh, the werebats. They're immune to anything that is not silver damage. So if we don't put something in the adventure that like helps them defeat the werebats, then they're going to be kind of stuck with maybe a magic user casting like Firebolt or something on them, which I don't think is a big deal. But we did have this idea to put a bone that had been turned to silver by these black fleck things. And there was some talk in the stream last time about how this was a little bit obvious that, like, you know, the players are all like hitting on the werebats and they can't damage it, and then it just happens to be this silver bone sitting here, and so let's just pick this up and hit them with the silver bone, and then all of a sudden it works. It seemed like a little obvious, and we went back and forth a little bit. Ultimately decided to leave it as is so we could move on with our lives. But Little Sim B had a suggestion here, which is actually I like this suggestion because at the very beginning of this adventure creation stuff, we were looking at using this bronze scout from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and I will show you this bronze scout real quick. Oh, hey, look at that. I don't have Mordenkainen's pulled up. So let's pop over to my stuff, and let's get Mordenkainen's pulled up for us all. There we go. Oh, look at that. How convenient. It opens up right to the bronze scout for me. So this was a clockwork-like thing in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and we already are featuring some other clockwork stuff, like this stone defender is in Mordenkainen's, and we wanted to use this bronze scout. I think We Write Weird Stuff had some really good thoughts about making the bronze scout a feature part of the adventure, but we never got around to it because things were taking a long time, and maybe I was lazy. I don't know. But Little CMB had a great idea for incorporating this dude into the adventure, and he typed this stuff out. So blah, 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 blah. He is saying that we already know that the Black Flecks make organic things clockwork. So this femur bone is a silver scout from Mordenkainen's with the following changes. It is a tiny creature. It has 9 hit points. It is inactive until it deals its health damage as a weapon. While the silver scout is motionless, it's a silver scout. Oh, that's interesting. So we're calling it a silver scout, but it's like a, you know, it's a version, an iteration, a variation of this of the, what do you want to call it, bronze scout. So I like that. That's cool. And it's indistinguishable from a silver bone. It is unable to burrow. It is resistant to lightning. If it activates while being used as a weapon, it starts by using its lightning flare ability, and it'll try to run away. Okay, so this is a great idea. I mean, I like this a lot. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna take this right here. I'm pretty much just gonna copy paste this into the adventure because I think he did a really good job of detailing that variation. I'm gonna give us some more room here, and let us do something here. Let's say silver bone. And then he had something. We'll just copy paste that. Stand by. I want to paste as text, so I keep my formatting, which still kept it all bolded. All right, there we go. So you have to bear with me. I'm like a tech writer as my professional occupation, and so when I see formatting all messed up, it freaks me out. So we'll do a little bit of formatting and crap here. Oh, that's wonderful. That's a good solid bulleted list right there. So I'm Master Flex wants me to show him cats. Dude, I will totally have a cat for you. You know, if my cat starts bothering me again, I will try to see if I can pick him up and show you all some cats. So I have a wide variety of cats to show you in my house. We took in a family of strays some time ago. So I have lots of them wandering about. So here we go. We got the information about the silver bone, and I mean, we're just throwing it down here, and there's the information. So I think this is pretty much good as is. I mean, Little CMB did a great job typing that up. And his other comment here was, some people won't have access to the Dungeon of Mad Mages for the werebats, so there should be an option to use 2 were-rats and 2 giant rats. Same challenge and similar monsters. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, that's a good consideration. I mean, we're the intention of this adventure is that we take this bad boy and we put it out there for people to use it, and there's a good chance to. I mean, what was it from? The werebats are from Dungeon of the Mad Mage. That's right. Now, obviously, we're using some things that are from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, which people might not have, but it's much more likely that there's one of my cats. She's like calling to people. It's much more likely that people have access to Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes than Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So that is a good point. If we're pulling monsters from a module that most people won't have access to, then it's pretty good to give some backup monsters to use. Oh, by the way, my giveaway for Morning Camps, Total Foes, or D&D book of your choice ended yesterday, and I pulled the winner as well. And so at some point here, I will announce the winner. But I don't want to do a complete interruption to the jive that we got going on here. So let's finish this up, and then maybe I'll talk about the winner. Drink coffee. All right, because the coffee allows me to keep talking and stay awake and all that good stuff. Oh wait, look at this. We have damaged written twice. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Bam. All right. What was I gonna do? Oh, I got distracted. We took care of this comment, so let's delete this comment. And then, oh yeah, I was copying this. Oops, that's the wrong button. All right. And then we're going to put we're going to do a thing here. I'm going to copy that. Whoop. Calm down, calm down. Let's see. I want to copy as text. And then we'll call this a DM note. And the way we're going to do this is we will just say, if you don't have access to Waterdeep Dungeons of the Mad Mage for the Werebats, and we will say use 2 Were-Rats, Monster Manual 2089, and 2 Giant Rats, Monster Manual 327. There we go. Bam. There we go. Awesome. And that has been solved. And so we have accounted for that. All right. Let's see. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the chat here. I am not in like chat reading mode right now. I will be in a moment, because in a moment we're going to be rolling loot, and then we'll have something to talk about maybe. However, I did see something. Oh, here's a cat. Here is a cat. Stand by. Stand by. This is Guapo. Guapo. Oh, Guapo. Guapo. All right, here's Guapo. This is Guapo. He's adorable. His real name is Chipper, but we call him Guapo because es muy guapo y nos encanta porque es muy guapo. So this is Guapo. He is adorable. He loves being like picked up and pet. He will roll around on the ground to get attention. We call him Guapo. You can see him. He's adorable. He's adorable. Yeah, that's Guapo. He's starting to get a little camera shy. He's like, I'm gonna have like cat hair all over me. He's like, you can kind of feel him where he's about ready. He's getting all tense, like he's gonna like, woo, make a jump for it or something. So I better put him down. But he's down here rubbing. He'll be rubbing against me for a while. Anyway, that was a tangent. What were we doing? Let me drink a tactical drink of coffee while I think about what I was talking about before I got interrupted. I'm highly interruptible, highly distractible, I suppose. Oh yeah, Rewrite Red Stuff had said something. Luke shuts me down when I try to eat cockatrice just because they're venomous. I don't shut you down, dude. I let you eat. So Rewrite Weird Stuff is in one of my games, the game I run at work, and like I'm like petting Guapo down here just to keep him quiet. Rewrite Weird Stuff is one of my games at work, and what did they do, John? They like, what the heck did you guys do? They fought some cockatrices and they killed them, and then he kept a lot of the meat. He went to great lengths not to damage the meat from the cockatrice. And then when he was back in town, he was smoking the meat from the cockatrice, I think. And then he went to eat it. And he may or may not have been petrified for 24 hours after having eaten the cockatrice meat. So I don't think that's really shutting you down. I think that is allowing you the freedom to role play your character, and then introducing appropriate consequences as you do things that are not advisable. So I think that's perfectly fine. I'm going to hide that. That is not a good comment. So that will be hidden. It's cool. This has this like little feature here. Like if somebody puts something on the chat that is possibly questionable, it like alerts me to it, which is pretty cool. Guapo is really chipper. Yeah, he is. Tactical coffee. Yes. Elder Knight says, do you make homebrew classes? That's a great question. Let's talk about that in the Q&A once we get done rolling up stuff. What are we doing? Loot generation. Yeah. Yeah. John says that he was shut down for a solid 24 hours. What else do you call petrification? Yeah, I mean, you were stoned. You got stoned for 24 hours. I mean, that's not that bad, right? You got better. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so let's move on. I'm getting distracted, and we got a lot of stuff to do tonight. Although I mean, the thing I love about live streams is interacting with you guys. So lots of fun. But we'll get. Let's march through. Let us make sure that we finish this adventure, because this is the 4th time now that we've gotten together to try to finish this adventure, and we have been unsuccessful. Although we have made excellent progress. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about with generating loot is there are these handy dandy guidelines for how much loot you are supposed to put in your game, in your campaign. So if you are, I'm gonna blow this up a little bit so we all can read this. This is on page 133 of the Dungeon Master Guide, and it says, and I quote, "You can hand out as much or as little treasure as you want over the typical course of a typical campaign. A party finds treasure hoards amounting to 7 rolls on the challenge 0 to 4 table, 18 rolls on the challenge 5 to 10 table, 12 rolls on the challenge 11 to 16 table, and 8 rolls on the challenge 17 plus table." Now, I will show you what those tables are. Basically, what this is giving us is our guidelines for how much loot we should give our players over the course of a normal campaign that goes from level 1 to 20. Now, up to DM discretion, obviously. Personally, I follow these guidelines, and so far, I think it's worked out fairly well. You will notice that as you get to levels 10, 15, and beyond, your players will have so much gold they have no idea what to do with it, and so it kind of becomes the Dungeon Master's job in a way to give them things to spend their money on. And there are things to do that with. Actually, what is it? There is a Strongholds and Followers just came out on PDF. That is the book that Matt Colville produced, and I have the PDF. I have not had a chance to look at it too much, but it's basically rules for Strongholds and Followers, and so you can use your gold to build strongholds, which might be a thing, right? That your players can use all of this crazy gold to spend stuff on. Yeah. So anyway. What I want to look at, though, is let's take a quick look at the tables, because it's mentioning this like challenge rating 0 to 4 and 5 to 10 table. So let's take a look at these. Now, our adventure is a level 4 adventure, so we will be rolling on the 0 to 4 table. But I want to take a quick look at these, just so we are familiar with this. I don't know how much Dungeon Masters actually use these tables. I have a feeling that a lot of people maybe just wing it and just throw stuff in there, which is fine, you know. I am a rules guy. I like to follow the rules. I think until I understand a rule and feel out whether it works well or doesn't work well, I want to follow the rules. If I discover a rule does not work well, then I'm more inclined to change it. But until I know that it does not work properly, or well, at least for my groups, or our style of playing the game, then I'm not inclined to change the rule. That's just kind of how I do it. And obviously that's my personal thing. Everybody's welcome to do it. So here, this is individual. What we're looking at are the treasure hoards. Here we go. So this is the challenge 0 to 4 treasure hoard. And so basically the rules up top, I think, told us that we're supposed to roll a certain number of times on this treasure hoard, a certain number of times on this treasure hoard, and then a certain number of times on this treasure hoard, and then a certain number of times on this treasure hoard right here, over the course of an entire campaign. Okay? Now what I do, and I'm going to pull up something real quick in Excel. I have a treasure tracker that I use for most of my groups. If I can get Excel to work. Where is Excel? Excel, hello, there is Excel. Excel has entered the house. I'm gonna blow that up a little bit so you guys can see this. Now this is for my Sword Coast Guard group, and you guys can see here that I am basically keeping track of this is the recommended number of times that you're supposed to roll on that table, number of times for that table, number of times for that table. And then what I do is, as I create the adventures, I keep track of how many times I've rolled on it. So you guys can see here that from level 0 to 4, I did not give them as many rolls as they should have. And then levels 5 to 10, they also got screwed out of their rolls. I'm like a stingy DM. And then they're currently level 11 or 12 right now. And so we are just getting rolling on that stuff. So they don't have a whole lot there. So I just use it to keep track of how many times I've rolled on the tables during the course of an entire campaign. Half of my job, I feel, as a dungeon master is logistics and keeping track of things. So there we go. That's just a little tool I use. That is not complicated at all. So I hope my goal in talking through all of that was to sort of explain what we're doing and why we're rolling on the tables. I hope that makes sense. My sort of ad-libbed, ad hoc explanation of why we're doing what we're doing. But let's go back up to, oh my gosh, scrolling. So we're supposed to roll about 7 times on the 0 to 4 table. Now, over in our adventure here, at the very beginning of the adventure, up in the DM notes, now this is the template that I use for all the adventures I create, and I keep track right on this line of how many times I have rolled on a treasure hoard table. And we are going to roll, I think, so for this group right here, let's just roll 2 times, okay? Let's roll 2 times on the tables and see what we come up with. And so I'm going to update that right there. And we're going to be using the 0 to 4 treasure hoard table. Before we get to that, I just want to peek at the chat here and see if we got anything going on. Swam Master Flex says, Matt Colville. Yeah, I love Matt's videos. The thing about Matt's videos that I really like, you guys, is that he has a lot of awesome information in his brain and like a different way of looking at some things that I've never considered, and it's really good. That information is cool and it's entertaining. I like his way of like delivering things. I like how he talks fast, right? So that I'm not like, there are some people that I'll just, YouTube in general, I will like put their video on and I will go to like the little settings thing and I'll put them at like 1.5 speed because I'm just like, come on dude, come on, you got to talk faster, you know? So really good, interesting stuff. Long videos, but good information. So I like his stuff a lot. And he did that Kickstarter and he made it cool. That was an awesome Kickstarter. They did like, it was like one of the top 10 Kickstarters of all time, I think, in like their net, like, you know, pledges or whatever. I think they went over 1 million. I think they might have gotten close to 2 million in pledges. So it's a great Kickstarter. And I'm excited to get the physical book too, which isn't actually going to be, the Strongholds and Followers physical book isn't going to be available until a few months from now. I think it's like early spring or something like that is when it's supposed to be ready. I have the PDF, but PDFs are great for reference, and PDFs are awesome for like doing this so that I can show you guys stuff on the computer. But I like to have the physical book so that I can like lie in bed and read it and carry it around and stuff like that. So anyway, that was a tangent. Based upon Swamp Master Flex's comment. So 4 Elemental says, can you do a video on economy in D&D? Because my DM literally broke the economy. All right, Swan Master. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's do a thing, Swan Master. So you are getting a behind-the-scenes look right now at my video planning. So I use Trello for video planning. All of these cards are all of the video ideas that I have. So I'm gonna put your video idea into here. And what did you say? Economy? Okay. Economy, I spelled that wrong. Economy in D&D. All right. It should be something like managing the economy in D&D, because I think that's the real question, right? And I'm gonna toss that toward the top of the list there. There we go. That is my idea collector. So I got that video idea down, man. No promises as to when that is gonna come out. I actually just got done finishing up all of my videos through the end of January. So I am a good bit ahead of the work I need to get done, which is awesome. I could take some time off to do some things I should have been doing. And did you move? Fierce Mushroom says, did you move to a barter system in lieu of a functional currency? Nope. We just use gold. I don't know that players have ever actually really tried to barter with anything. I would be open to them bartering stuff. I don't think they ever have, though. They've always had enough gold that they've not felt the need to barter, I think. So, Cody Lee says, I'd like to hear about a crashed fantasy economy. Well, I think that the economy for my level 20 group, the Manus Invictus group, definitely their economy is broken. They have so much gold that they can just buy whatever they want. Healing potions up the I actually had to. They have so much money to buy so many healing potions. I mean, I had to put a limit, which is reasonable. I had to put a limit on how many healing potions they could actually buy, because they were just there's a logical limit to how much healing potions a certain city and all the alchemists or whatever can actually produce. And I had to apply a limit to them because they were just like 100 healing potions. Well, do we have the gold? Oh yeah, we got the gold. Wait a second, only 50 are available in town. So that, I think if you go by the tables and your group gets to like level 20 and you don't give them something to spend their money on besides what's in the character handbook, the player handbook, then you will definitely have a broken economy, in so much that your players will have so much gold that they can just do whatever they want with it. So anyway, yeah. Okay, let's keep going here. Master Flex says, "What am I getting credit for?" I don't know, man. I just give credit where credit's due. I don't know. I just work here. All right, let's keep going. That was a good tangent, but let's keep going here so we can actually get some crap done tonight. And we'll do question. So you guys, we will be doing question and answer toward the end of the stream here. Once we get the loot generated and distributed throughout the... Now Squeaky's down here. Now I can't pick Squeaky up. Squeaky's a moron. He hates being picked up. And he bugs the crap out of me. Like, Squeaky will come up to me and he'll put his paws on me and be like, "Give me attention, give me attention." And then when I go to pet him, he's like, "Woo, don't touch me." So I don't know. He's crazy. But he follows me around the whole house. All right, we are rolling. See, he's down here now. He wants attention. Oh, he might jump up on the back of my chair. If he jumps up back there, you guys know it's Squeaky. All right, we're rolling loot. No more distractions. So let's go to the 0 to 4 table. And scrolly. Here's our treasure hoard table. Now we have, for the coins, what I usually do for the coins, you guys, here we go. There's Squeaky. Squeaky has joined the live stream. All right, he'll hang out there for a few minutes. Now these actually have, like, we can roll on this stuff, like the coins. I'm gonna pull up my handy dandy. Oh, it was right. Wait, where was it? Oh, let me get rid of that. Where was it? There it is. No, that's not it. There it is. This guy right here. So you can roll dice for the coins. Like I could. So this says 66 times 100. So that's the wrong button. So I can take, if I want to actually generate the number of coins to place in it, I can take a 66. I can roll this bad boy. I got a 10, and then I can multiply it by 10, and that comes out to be 100. Okay. Oh, did it say times 100? What did it say times? Times 100. Okay, so 10 times 100 is 1,000. And so, but it also gives you averages in parentheses. And I'm going to be honest with you, for the gold, I usually use the averages. It is not worth my time rolling dice and multiplying to get like gold numbers. I don't really care about the gold and the money so much when I'm generating loot. What gets me more excited is rolling on this part of the table right here, because then I get to see what cool magic items are generated in the loot. And so I usually just save some time and just use the averages. So what we're going to do, now what I usually do in an adventure is I go to the very end of the adventure and I make a title that's called Loot to be Distributed. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to make a list here of loot that we will be distributing. And so I believe the first amount of loot that we had was 4,200 copper pieces. That's fun. Everybody loves getting copper pieces. 2,100 silver pieces. Now what I'm doing, by the way, guys, we said we were rolling twice on the loot table. And so I'm just taking the averages and I'm doubling them, right? Just in case you're wondering. And then the gold pieces, we have 140 gold pieces. So 140 gold pieces. Now that is the actual, I can't talk. That's the actual money, the gold and silver pieces and copper pieces that we will be distributing throughout the adventure. And now we're getting to a little bit more of the fun part. We are going to roll on these tables here. Now, these tables here, we're going to roll a D100, and here comes Squeaky. Now, Squeaky's jumping down. He's going to be my right-hand cat down here, getting in my way of my elbow so I can't operate my mouse. We're going to roll on these things here, and that is going to tell us whether we have gems, we get art objects, or if we don't get totally screwed, we will have magic items. And these magic item tables the greater the number, or if it's table A, it's like a so-so magic item, like really kind of crappy. If we get like a table F or a table G magic item, we're talking some really cool magic items. And so we're going to head over to our D100 roller and see what we get. Now, basically, the higher we roll, the better. And so let's see what we get. And we got a 42. I'm going to write that down. That doesn't sound too interesting. I think we just screwed them. Oh yeah, this is a bad roll. A 42. So they're gonna get 7 2d6 gems. So let's go roll for the gems. So 2d6 gems. So they're gonna get 8 gems. They're gonna get, now what it said here is they're going to get 8 10 gold piece gems. Now if we head back here, there is a list of gems right here. And it actually, now what I like about these gem tables, you guys, is that it gives us different types of gems. And this is really cool because instead of just saying, oh yeah, you got like a handful of gems worth, no, we're not subscribing to PewDiePie. I'm subscribed to PewDiePie. I think his stuff is hilarious, but we don't need to put that in chat. The great thing about these names of these gemstones is it adds some flavor to your game, right? Instead of saying you got a bunch of gems, you can say you got a bunch of hermatites. I think that's how you pronounce that. Malachites, moss agates, obsidians, and whatnot. And so we're going to roll a d12 to determine what type of gem we actually got. Now we could roll like, you know, the d12 like 8 different times to determine a whole variety of different types of gems. That gets a little old, and your players are not likely to write down every single distinct type. And so I'll usually just roll it once, and it's a 7. And so that is a malachite. So we're going to write down here in the loot to be distributed, they got 8 malachite gems, and then I'm going to put 10 gold pieces each. There we go. So those are the gems that they got. And then, and there's not a whole lot here. I mean, this is pretty straightforward, just rolling numbers and doing this randomly. So there's nothing super interesting here, except the excitement of, and this is always exciting for me, is seeing what the numbers come up with and seeing if I get something really cool and interesting, because that is fun. So that is the fun part for me of rolling up loot, seeing if you get lucky and get something really fun to give your players. And that is more fun for me as a dungeon master to roll, for whatever reason, to roll on the loot tables and then get lucky and have some cool item to give them. That's more fun for me than just deciding that I'm going to give them X item. I don't know why that is, but for me it seems to be more fun. So, and then we had to roll 1d6 times on magic item table A. All right. So Master Flex says, I subscribe to T-Series just to stick it to PewDiePie. That's awesome, dude. All right, 1d6 times on magic table A. So let's roll 1d6. And we got a 6. All right, we're going to roll 6 times on magic item table A. So let's go find this magic item table. Where is this bad boy? It is here somewhere. Yeah, you guys don't want me to start singing. I start singing, then everybody's just hopping off the live stream. That's not happening. Bad singing voice. Where is this stupid magic item table? There we go. So here's magic item table A, and I think you guys can see, I'll blow this up a little bit so you guys can see how crappy it is. Unless you roll a 99 and then you get a bag of holding. If you roll a 0, you get a drift globe, which I think is cool. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what that does. Anyway, we're going to roll 6 times on this, and we're going to see what we get. So I'm going to clear all this out, and then we're going to, wait, hold on a second. A D100. All right. So we got a 29, a 75, a 51, a 44, a 60, and a 7. All right. So I think that for anything 1 through 50 is a potion of healing. Oops, that's the wrong button. So they got 1, 2, 3 potions of healing. All right, so 3 potion. I call them healing potions. 3 healing potions. There we go. And let's see what else they got. They got a 60. What is a 60? That is a spell scroll, a cantrip. All right. spell scroll, cantrip, write that down, and a 51 and a 75. What are those? A 51 is another spell scroll cantrip, and a 75 is a first level spell scroll. All right, so let's pop that over here. So there are 2 spell scroll cantrip, spell scroll cantrip, spell scroll first level. There we go. That is done. And we will actually decide what those spells are going to be. All right, here we go. Here is your people in the chat. Let me know the first 3 spells that I see in the chat are the ones that shall be. I need to know 1 cantrip. I need to know 2 different cantrips, and then 1 first level spell scroll. So 2 cantrips and a first level spell scroll. When you enter them, only enter 1 name of a spell at a time. 1 name of a spell at a time. And then that you guys will decide what those spell scrolls are. There we go. Usually what I do for those is I will literally just open up the player handbook and I will say pick a sorcerer, the sorcerer's cantrips. I will count how many sorcerer cantrips they are. Let's say there are 12 of them. And then I will take a d12, I will roll the d12, and then that determines which cantrip is on the spell scroll. And so again, I just make it randomly. Sometimes, especially if I have a wizard in the group, sometimes for like clerics and stuff like that, or sorcerers, I will actually see what spells they already have in their spell books or memorized or learned. And then I will give them spell scrolls that are not what they already have, because I want them to have some other options. And so a lot of times I will do that as opposed to doing it randomly. But tonight we're doing it randomly. Tactical coffee. This right here, where is this from? Mexico. Oh yeah. Puerto Progreso. So my mom went to Mexico on some like cruise thing, and I got a coffee cup. It's actually a nice coffee cup. I like it. So I'm not really complaining. I didn't get a shirt. I got a coffee cup, which is actually more helpful than a shirt that I would probably never wear. All right. Anyway, we got some spell scrolls. Healing Word. That's not a cantrip. That's a first level. Is that a first level spell? Yeah. That's a first level spell. So Healing Word is the first level spell. Healing Word. There was a video a dude did about Healing Word being like the most broken spell in the game, or it was ruining the game or something like that. So I have a plan to do a video about Healing Word and like a spoof on it or something. I don't know. I think Healing Word is a great spell, and it does make it very easy for the players to get people up from dying. And that is just an excuse for me to play hardball and up my game and throw more crazier crap at them. So I do not have a problem with that spell, for the record. Let's see, what else we got going on? Scorching Ray is a first level spell. Move Dirt. Is Move Dirt like a cantrip? I think it is. But is it called Move Dirt? I think it's something else. I think that's from, that is from Princes of the Apocalypse. But I think it has a different name, if I'm remembering exactly. I think I know which spell you're talking about. Prince of the Apocalypse. Let me see if I can find that. I have that. I have bought that module. And a little disclaimer too for you guys. You'll notice I have a bunch of PDFs, but I always buy the books. I definitely want to support Wizards of the Coast because they make awesome products, and I want them to stay in business so they can continue to make awesome products. But I appreciate the usefulness of a good PDF as well. And the day they start selling PDFs, I will start buying their PDFs. Until then, yeah. So there you go. That's my official stance on PDFs. Where is this? I'm looking at the end of this. The end of this thing has to have the spells in here somewhere. What's the name of this thing? Mold Earth. That sounds better. That sounds like the actual name of the spell. So I'm going to stop hunting through here because I'm probably not going to find it. And we're just going to call it Mold Earth because I think that sounds like the right name. Mold Earth. Super, super helpful. I had a player once using Mold Earth. He excavated basically a fortification with like trenches and embankments, and they would take like an hour or so, but using this cantrip, he was able to basically create a fortification for the night to protect their camp against attacks and whatnot, and it was really awesome. really inventive, awesome use of the spell. And he actually diagrammed out every step of the process of excavating the earth, because you can only move a 5-foot cube of earth at a time. And so he had diagrammed out how he would move everything properly to create this fortification for me. I don't know if that's because he thought that I would try to shoot him down, or he loved getting into the nitty-gritty details of how he would actually go about doing it. Because I walked into the session one day and he brought out this big whiteboard and he's like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And he explained everything to me. And it was pretty cool. So we need one more cantrip, guys. One more cantrip. I need a cantrip. Create water? Is that a cantrip? I'm pretty sure it's a first level spell. Prestidigitation. All right. That is spare the dying. Ooh, Goodberry. Goodberry is a first level spell. Create or destroy water. I guess it's going to be prestidigitation because I don't see another name of a cantrip. So, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. That is like the worst prestidigitation. I don't know how to say that stuff. That is it's craziness. There we go. There we go. My spell checker knows how to spell it. Fortunately, because I don't know how to spell. I'm a professional writer who does not know how to spell. That's great. I did not bring that up in the interview. I did not put that on my resume. My boss found out about it a few years after he hired me, which probably worked in my favor. But I'm able to cover it up fairly well because of technology. All right, there we go. All right, we got that crap done. Elder Knight wants to know where I get the PDFs from. They are available online. If you search for them, you should be able to find the site to get them. I don't want to mention it on the stream and all that kind of stuff. Because no. They are available though. So yeah. Sorry, I don't want to put links and mentioning to that stuff on the stream. I don't know if that's appropriate, if somebody would frown on that. So I'm just not gonna go there. Moving on. I think we had. Did we roll everything? Did we have some more rolls on here? What did I do? I think I had the 51, the 60, and the 75, and I think that we did that. Yep, we got that all done. We did not get a bag of holding, and we did not get a drift globe. So, oh, I need some more coffee. I need more coffee. All right, we need to do another roll. I think that's everything for that roll. So, stand by. Scrolly, scrolly, scrolly. I thought about creating bookmarks for all of this stuff ahead of time, but I already have a bunch of good bookmarks, and I didn't want to add more and screw it all up or something, so that would have been a good idea, though. I acknowledge that now. All right, I think that was our first roll. So we're going to roll again. And now, this is where I feel that if we get a really crappy roll, I am just going to re-roll. Because I do that a lot. Actually, if I roll a couple times and I don't get anything that I think is fun and interesting, I just re-roll. Now you could say, well, Luke, why don't you just go in and pick stuff? Because I have more fun rolling on the tables. I don't know why. That's just how I do it. So hopefully we're going to see if we can get something at least on table C or F. That would be fun. So we're looking for a 76 or higher. Let's see if we can get this legitimately without cheating. Oh yeah, John says... So he says, don't want to damage your future Wizards of the Coast sponsorship. Yeah, that's awesome. I actually have a company that reached out to me today about something that looks pretty cool. So stay tuned. Let's see. What were we doing? We were going to roll. We were going to roll dice. All right, here we go. Rock and roll. Let's clear this. Reset that bad boy. I'm getting low on coffee. That's nearly an emergency. All right, we're rolling a D100. Here we go. 76 or higher. We got a 21. That sucks. Check this out. A 21 isn't even any magic items at all. No magic items for a 21. That's just absolutely horrible. All right, we're going to roll again. That cannot stand. So, D100 will reset. That never happened. We will expunge that from the live stream after the fact. All right, here we go. Let's roll on the magic table. A 19. Expunged. 15. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. However, you see how it's going down? It's slowly going down. We're going to hit 0 eventually, and then we're going to roll magic item table G. All right, we have to go see what's on magic item table G. If we get magic item table G, let's just see some of the cool stuff. Scrolly, 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 scrolly. Wow. Sorry. This is crazy. I should have been more organized. All right, check this stuff out. Adamantine armor that negates critical hits, braces of defense, bowl of commanding water elementals, ring of X-ray vision, ring of free action, feather falling, evasion, staff of crazy stuff. Staff of swarming insects is amazingly useful. My players have put the staff of swarming insects to incredible use. You have no idea how useful it is to be able to obscure all visibility. Dragon Slayer. Oh, that sounds cool. Dimensional shackles. Giant Slayer. Instrument of the Bards. So there is a lot of cool stuff on this magic item table. So let's go back to the beginning. Somewhere up here. And find our table again. And we will start rolling on this guy. Let's see. This is on page 137. Let's try to... I'm going to write that down. Because avoid some scrolling every 10 seconds. All right. Let's roll on this bad boy and see what we get. Rolling. Rolling. All right. Here we go. Here we go. 24. Ah, a 1. Am I rolling on a D100? I am rolling a D100. I'm like, what am I rolling? What's a 1? A 1 gets nothing. A 1 is like you lose D&D. Wow. We should just pick a number at this point. I mean, this is silly, right? We're just rolling and rolling until we get what we want. That's kind of crazy, right? 24. This is dumb. An 8. A 17. What the heck is going on? 53. Okay, what's a 53? A 53 is still item table A, so that's really lame. All right, guys. I'm about ready to just make a number up. I'm about ready to make a number up because this is so lame. 22. 44. These aren't randomized. These are like 81. Hey, we got an 81. All right, 81. Let's see what that is. That's table C. That's table C. That's pretty good. If we get an 86, we're at table F. Should we stick with table C or should we go for table F? That can make things interesting. Your current character has a negative int. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Fierce Mushroom says there are some people who are chosen of the dice gods. I am not one. Oh, I roll horribly. As a dungeon master, my dice rolls are horrible. It's pathetic. And my players, I have one player who always rolls a 15 or above. Yeah. Okay, let's see. That's not bad. I don't mind the 81. Let's give it a shot. 95. 95. You guys all saw that, right? A 95 was our roll. That is a legitimate roll because there is no evidence at all that we fudged our dice rolls, except for this stream. Anyway, we rolled a 95, so let us consult the charts. Yeah, baby. We have this is a DM cheating, right? Actually, whatever. This is adventure creation. The DM can do whatever he wants. And this was fun. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll 2d6 and get a bunch of gems. So let's go over here and roll our gems. So, a 5. So we get 5 50 gold piece gems. So let's go down to our gems area. There were a bunch of gems. I think the gems were... Oh, crap. The gems were before, weren't they? Oh, yeah. The gems were before. Stand by. Stand by. Here we go. 50 gold piece gemstone. I need to roll a d12 to determine the type of gemstone. It is a 2, which means they found carnelians. There we go. How many of those did they find? What did it say? 2 of them. No, 5 of them. So they found 5 carnelians. There we go. So 5 carnelian gems. 50 gold pieces each. There we go. Rock and roll. All right. Cool. And then, what else were we doing? So we rolled on the gem table, and we got our gems. And then we are going to roll 1d4 times on magic table F. That's going to be fun. Let's see how many things they get off from that bad boy. All right, let's reset this. Let's go reset this. 1d4 times 4. Holy crap. Wow. All right, they get 4 things off from it. Let's check this out. Let's see what they get. Magic table F. This is going to be nuts. Now, this because I like basically made this happen, if we get some really crazy stuff off magic table F, I might not give them 4 things. Because let's be real here. This is a very important point actually. In Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, the characters are already really well balanced without magic items. Like, as long as they have like a magical weapon or something, the melee types, they really don't need anything else. Characters in 5th edition are super powerful all by themselves. So, especially giving level 4 characters like really powerful magical items could really offset the balance of things, in so much that as a dungeon master, you will need to take into account their increased power when you create all of your encounters and your adventures. And here's the thing. If you're running a module that already has everything kind of pre-made for you, and you give your players a bunch of sweet magic items that really help them a lot, they're going to be more powerful than that module was really designed for, potentially, and that could make things really more difficult on your end as far as running your game, unless you don't mind having a game where the players are just swooping through and destroying everything easily. But there is an argument to be made that, at least I know I have several players who want to be challenged, and if they're always just rolling over everything easily, they will find that type of gameplay unsatisfying. It's fine, I think, to have some where it's just like kill everything, not a problem, but some challenge is also a very good, desirable thing in the game. So giving low-level PCs powerful magic items, even giving high-level PCs powerful magic items, is something worth considering and thinking about and being sure of before you do it. It is much easier to not give them a magic item than to give it to them, have them be like, holy crap, I have a Holy Avenger, and then decide, crap, I need to take it away. Players don't like being nerfed, right? And so be very careful, I guess is what I'm saying, when giving out powerful magic items to your players. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox and we shall roll on. You see how I'm like drawing out the suspense of like what we're actually going to get on these magic tables? Just everybody's on their seats, the edge of their seats. All right, magic table, table F. Let's find table F. It's probably a lot of scrolling, lots of scrolling, so we can find magic item table F. Wow, I'm noticing lots of pretty sweet stuff on here. So we're going to roll 4 of these things, and we are going to find out what we got. The first one is a 17. And a 17 is a shield +1. That is nice. That is very, very nice. Shield. I can't spell shield. I still can't spell shield. That is difficult. There we go. A shield +1. Now, you may scoff at that, but if you have a fighter who already has full plate armor, and he takes some special fighting feats that gives him additional. If he has a shield and he's got a 19, he takes like a thing that increases his armor class up to like a 20 or something. He takes a feat that increases it to a 21, and then he has a magical shield that increases it to 22. Armor class 22 is hardcore. So a shield +1 is nothing to be scoffed at, especially in the mid stages of the game. So that is a really good magic item. Even though it doesn't sound super impressive, in the game, it's actually really good. So we're going to roll for our next magic item. 41. Oh, the higher numbers are better. Hat of Disguise. Oh, that is a... I love those sorts of magic items. I love them. The reason I love them is that they don't... Some magic items are useful really in combat mostly. Just killing things faster and that kind of cool stuff. But the Hat of Disguise introduces really cool role-playing opportunities outside of combat. infiltrating an enemy compound, or, you know, just pretending to be somebody else and engaging in shenanigans and stuff like that. I mean, there are lots of cool, awesome things you can do with something like a Hat of Disguise. And so that's the sort of magic item that I love giving my players, because you never know what they're going to do with it. You know exactly what they're going to do with a +1 sword or like a wand of fireballs. But a Hat of Disguise is a whole wide range of awesome possibilities. And so I love magic items like that, because those are the things that make the game fun, and you have interesting encounters and stuff that happen because of them. So there we go. And rolling on this table here, we got a 5. Oh, that's lame. A weapon, well, a weapon +1. Actually, for a level 4 character, a weapon +1 is really, really good. And so we're going to call this weapon +1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go determine what kind of weapon this is going to be as well. We'll do that let's do that right now. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to pull up the player handbook, and I'm going to show you how I sometimes deal with this sort of thing. I don't know what kind of weapon it is. There are 2 ways I could actually deal with this. Let me pull up the rule book, and then we will talk about the 2 different ways you can deal with this sort of thing. Equipment, Chapter 5. And this is not in color. This is just a black and white. Oh. Come on, where is the weapon stuff? Here's the weapons. All right, here are the weapons. All right, so there are basically 2 different ways. I'm going to give you a different view, since you've been staring at the other view for so long. There are 2 different ways you can deal with deciding what kind of weapon you want to give your players if you roll up a magical weapon. What you can do is, and this is the way that I usually do it, I think, but I'm beginning to transition away from this. But the one way you can do it is look at your characters, your players' characters, see what kinds of weapons they use, and then make sure that you give them the magical weapon that they will actually be able to use, the weapon of their choice, which is usually like a long sword or something like that, a 2-handed sword, a great axe, things like that. Nobody uses a spear or a club or a pike. So maul's pretty popular. A halberd or a glaive are fairly popular. Nobody uses a flail. So you could just give them the magic weapon that you know they'll use, or you could roll randomly. And tonight, we are rolling randomly. So basically, I'm just going to spitball here, 10, 20. It looks like I have about 30-ish magic items listed out here. And so I'm going to roll a 1d20 and a 1d10, and I'm going to add them together. And that's going to determine the type of magic weapon that we give our players. So let's reset this. I'm going to roll a 1d10 and then a 1d20. It's a 5 and a 6, which makes 11. And so I'm just going to count down 11 on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Unarmed strike. Clearly, an unarmed strike is not a magic weapon that we can give our players. You see what I'm talking about? I roll horribly. I always roll horribly. All right, we're going to try this again. I'll roll a 1d10, and I will roll a 1d20, and I got a 9, 10, 11. Unarmed strike again. This does not cooperate. I should just, like, rig the rolls. There we go. This looks better. A 21. All right, a 21 is probably going to be a lot more useful to us. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. A halberd. A +1 halberd. There you go. That's what it's going to be. I would have liked it to be something more obscure, like a flail, because that would force the players to. It would have to make them choose. Am I going to use the magical weapon that isn't like what I usually would like to use, or am I just going to keep using my maximized, most advantageous weapon of my choice? But it's going to be a halberd +1. There we go, because we rolled for it randomly. But I like giving. So I said I was slowly transitioning away from just giving the players weapons they would use. And I am now starting to actually have a preference for giving them random magic weapons and just having them deal with it and figure out how they're going to use it. And sometimes they don't even want them, and they just end up selling them or trading them or something, which I think is fine. But it makes the game more interesting, I think, than always just, feeding them exactly what you know they want. So, oh, you know what? I forgot to switch back to my desktop view, so you couldn't actually see me rolling all those things. I could have cheated for all you know. Here is the evidence. I rolled a 9 and a 15 for the 21, but I really did literally roll 11 3 times in a row, and 11 is the unarmed strike right here. So there you go. I could have cheated, and you would have no idea. a +1 whip, +1 quarterstaff, +1 net, +1 shifting blade, transforms weapon type by using 1 action. I actually created a weapon once, Fierce Mushroom, that was, you could use your action to change whether it was a light weapon, a full-size weapon, a two-handed weapon, or a finesse, light, I don't know. There were 3 different categories. And then the idea is that I think it was like a spear, so you could turn it from like all those 3 different categories so that no matter what you wanted to use it as, you could use it as the one you wanted. I made a weapon like that once, and the players did not want it, and they ended up selling it. So okay, whatever, guys. Can't even. It was like a super versatile item. I think the thing was that it was cursed. There was some sort of curse on it that caused you to be covered with barnacles and stuff, and like it didn't actually have any. It didn't affect your charisma or anything. It was just flavor. You're covered with barnacles and stuff because it was some sort of like, and it allowed you to like speak like Aquan, and like you could walk on water with it and stuff. It had like lots of cool effects, and my players were like, "No, we don't want it. It's cursed. I think it made you greedy so that you would never want to give it away or something like that." And they did, because of that curse, nobody wanted it, and so they ended up selling it or something. It's a really cool magic item, but sadly it was rejected. So anyway, I think we have one more roll on our magic item table, and then we are done generating magic items, and then we are going to place the magic items throughout the adventure. Oh yeah, I was disappointed they sold it too, Fierce. Like, I was like, guys, this is an awesome magic item. Why don't you want it? You know, and they just sold it away. It's like whatever. That's okay. I'll have some villain, buy it and then use it against them or something cool like that. I think we have one more roll on our magic item table, and so let's give it a go. Reset. D100, a 20. What's a 20? A sentinel shield. We already gave them 1 shield. I don't want to give them a 2nd shield. It's boring. Let's roll again. Let's see if we get something more interesting. A 15. Come on, guys. Roll high. 21. Lame. A 1. Lame. 79. 79, ladies and gentlemen. Sold. Let's see what we got. 79. A gem of brightness. I have no idea what that does. No idea. I think we're gonna go look at the gem of brightness and see what this thing does. Out of curiosity, because I have no idea what that thing does. And this is the other good thing about a PDF. Usually, you can find stuff faster in a PDF. Usually. And it did not come up. Where is this? There it is. Oh, it's an uncommon item. It has, I don't think you guys can see this. Let me blow this up for you a little bit so it's easier to read. It has 50 charges. It looks like you can make it shed light in a certain radius. You can use a charge of it to expend, to like blind creatures. And you can also create a larger blinding light in a 30-foot cone as well. That's pretty cool. That's actually, being blinded in the game is horrible, especially if you are a spellcaster, because almost all spells, the majority of spells, we shall say, require you to be able to see the creature that you're casting the spell on. So if you blind a spellcaster, that spellcaster is like out of commission a lot of times. I know from experience because my players love to blind the enemy spellcasters, and I return the favor. Most of the times, the tactics and nasty strategies that I use against my players, I learn from my players. They come up with these really cool ideas, and then I'm like, and then like 2 sessions later, guess what's happening? I'm using the same thing against them, and it's fun that way. They get the one up on me, and then I'm like, boom, I got you back. So it's pretty cool. So that's the Gem of Brightness. I think did we write that down? Gem of Brightness. Awesome. All right, guys. What we have to do now is distribute the loot throughout the adventure. Once we distribute the loot throughout the adventure, we're going to go into a Q&A session. This won't take long to distribute the loot. What we're going to do first, though, is I'm going to take a short intermission break. When we come back, we will distribute the loot and then go into a Q&A. So if you guys got questions and stuff, start getting them churning in your brain so that you can throw them in the chat and we can talk about stuff. So we're going to go to intermission, and I shall see you soon. All right, and we are back. So, excellent. We are going to distribute loot. It looks like I saw a comment here. We Write Weird Stuff said that we should front load all of the loot to make it simpler. Dump it all right at the first encounter. We could do that. I could literally take the loot and just grab it from here and dump it all there, and I think that would be pretty lame. Almost as lame as having all of the loot being in one chest at the very end of the adventure. So we will not do that. We will distribute it throughout the adventure. But this isn't usually too hard to do, in my opinion. Now, we did have, if we consult our maps, where are my maps? Map. In our cave system here, if we recall from previous creation streams, the end boss is right here in the Shaman's Sanctum. Ooh. And we have C5 is where the treasure hoard is located. Now, if we have a treasure hoard, we need to have a bunch of treasure there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a hoard at all. So we need to put some stuff there for sure. And it actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this whole adventure is kind of on the premise that this shaman arrived and corrupted the gnomes and is basically taking over things. So it actually would make sense for the shaman to have basically looted them all, taken all of their stuff, and then put it in this treasure hoard. So we can actually put a majority of items here if we want to. In in the sense of like this adventure, it kind of makes sense. Now, if we were making a different sort of adventure where the players were like storming in, let's say, a hobgoblin compound, you would expect there to be a lot of treasure on the hobgoblin soldiers themselves. The hobgoblins might have a lot of their loot in their barracks, maybe in their footlockers, you know, locked and stuff. They might have them hidden in like hollowed out legs of like beds and stuff. You might find a lot of it in the quarters of the leader of the hobgoblins. The captains might have a lot of loot in their own personal barracks and quarters and stuff like that. So in an adventure like that, you would expect to find it distributed a little bit with, you know, maybe a good portion of it with the leader, because the leaders usually get most of the loot. In our adventure, though, it kind of makes sense to just put it all here, or put a lot of it here. But anyway, when does the Google Docs get the new edits? The Google Doc will get the new edits probably tonight after the live stream, or maybe tomorrow sometime. This isn't actually on a Google Doc. It is in Word, and I just upload this file to Google Drive, which is where the link down the description goes. And so that'll get updated as soon as I upload it, which won't take long. There's not a whole lot to do to this. And so that should be available soonish, for sure. All right, so we need to distribute this. We have lots of different places to put it. So those of you who have, I do not want to list out all the different places that we can possibly put this, you guys. So if you are familiar with the adventure from previous streams, feel free to shout out where we should put stuff. Let me know, and we will start throwing some stuff around there. In the meantime, while you guys are giving me some ideas, I will start putting a couple things. I think it does make sense for the ogre probably, the ogre shaman probably took that halberd himself. He probably would want to use that himself. Big, shiny, awesome halberd. I'm guessing he would want to use that. So we're going to put that up here. Dun, 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 dun. And there is usually a loot block. Yeah. I usually put the loot block after the adventure. There we go. And we will say loot. The ogre shaman has the following loot. All right. And then we will say halberd +1. Now the gold and stuff, he's probably keeping most of it in the treasure hoard, I would imagine. But the halberd he's probably going to want to have on himself. And he would probably use this during the encounter, except that he's a shaman. And so maybe he just keeps it somewhere, like up against a corner or something like that. So there needs to be a set of alchemist tools somewhere. Oh, you are so right. Little CMB, totally right. Let's see what, now this is how I do this. We're going to look up alchemist tools. You hear that? My cats are killing themselves. We need to look up alchemist tools and see how much they cost. Let's see, where are those? Those are here somewhere. Those are here somewhere. Those are here. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Alchemist supplies are worth 50 gold pieces. Now, the way that I usually do this, oh, the scroll of healing words should be in Jennifer the Healer's hut. I agree. Let's go pop that over there. That is a good point. I like that idea. So, scroll of healing, the healing word scroll. We're going to put that in the Healer's hut. Where is that? The Healer's home, the safe house. Let's see. Here we go. It says they can offer 2d6 healing potions, 1d4 greater healing potions, oily furnace, a potion of heroism, and a spell scroll, healing word, to support the cause. It looks like we already put loot in the game as well. Look at all this. Healing potions and stuff that they're going to be able to get. Whatever. That's okay. That's our prerogative. But we got that taken care of. And then we were talking about the alchemist supplies. Now, this is how I do this. What I'll do then, if it's 50 gold pieces each, then I will go to the loot to be distributed, and I will convert some of these gold piece things into alchemist supplies. So let's say that there are alchemist supplies times 3, and that's going to be worth 150 gold pieces. And I think if we turn the 2100, oh man, you're making me do math. So 210 minus 150 is 60. So this will turn into 600 silver pieces that we have left over. I basically subtracted the cost of the alchemist supplies from the silver piece total, and then we will distribute alchemist supplies in the adventure. And there are actually gnome workshops. C6, if we look at our map here, we have 3 gnome workshops. And we have 3 alchemist supplies, so that works out pretty well. We will say, there is 1 set of alchemists supplies in each workshop. There we go. Bam, that's taken care of. All right, good deal. Awesome. I almost want to put all of these gems. I almost want to put these gems on the ogre shaman. I almost envision that the ogre shaman is like, you know, he's like, ooh, pretty gems. I'm going to keep these on myself. Just kind of tuck these away. And then every so often he like pulls the gems out and he's like, oh, it's so shiny. So pretty. He's a big dumb ogre, right? So I can see him definitely taking a liking to a bunch of shiny gems. And so we are going to put those on the ogre. I think that makes sense for him to have those. What else? We have any other ideas here? Scroll of healing. All right. I don't see any other ideas in the chat, so I will just keep on putting these things places. Oh, Little Sam BD says the shield in the gnome burial chamber, a custom of some tribes signifying how the dead will protect themselves. I like that. And I'm going to copy what you just said there, and that is going to be part of our adventure. You see me like looking around like this because like my camera is like right in front of my Word document. So I can't see things super well. Gnome burial chamber. Let's see this guy right here. Funerary recesses. All right, and then we will say that one of the funerary recesses contains a shield +1. This is a, and then we'll say it is a custom of some gnome tribes signifying, so placing a shield with the dead. Yeah, we'll say that. Placing shields with their dead is a custom of some gnome tribes signifying how the dead will protect themselves. Excellent. I like that. Good call. So we have taken care of our shield +1. I will take that off from there. We have a hat of disguise, a gem of brightness, some spell scrolls, some healing potions. You know what? Up here above in the safe house, we already have a bunch of healing potions that are going to get distributed to them. And so I'm gonna take that off from our loot list, and we're gonna say that we already took care of that. There we go. I'm being stingy tonight. All right, what else we got? The gems should be part of Clockwork Enemies construction. Ooh, you know what we're gonna do? That's a good idea. Let's put that gem of brightness. So the gnomes probably were using the gem of brightness during, like, maybe they use it to like make things light when they're working on stuff. And so let's go put that up in one of these houses. There's actually, we have a random table here thing. Oh, there's a house right here. So we say the third house. So when they're exploring that gnome village, like if you remember this map that we have here, there are a bunch of gnome like houses, and the players are going to be exploring these gnome houses. So we can put that gem of brightness in one of these gnome houses. So as they're exploring, they find it. Now, they're probably not going to explore every single house. And so if we were to pick like one house number to put it in, and they don't happen to go there, then they're not going to be able to find that magic item. And I don't have a problem with players missing magic items and missing loot. However, it seems like we're heavily stacking it towards missing it. I want it to be a little bit more obvious for them to find it and not be it so difficult, because that doesn't seem fun and fair, I guess. So let's just say, so the third house they explore contains sling bullets and 10 silver sling bullets. And let's say, now if they find that stuff in a house, then let's say that the fourth house they explore contains a gem of brightness. There we go. I imagine the gnomes are probably using that when they're crafting their clockworks or something like that. A gem of brightness guarded by a stone defender. There we go. Bam. So they have to fight a stone defender for their gem of brightness. That is taken care of. The black flecks turn the heart to a gemstone. Oh yeah, that's a cool idea. In the cave, that is where the mold earth scroll should be. All right, that is done. Mold earth, we're going to put that in a cave somewhere. Which part of the cave is that going to go in? A totem chamber. This was like where the werebats and stuff were, and this was the burial chambers. Let's put it in with the werebats up there. It's kind of like some discarded paper almost. Which one was that? The werebat den. That makes sense. Oh, a locked chest. So the chamber is empty except for a locked chest against the far wall. Several gold coins are scattered in front of the chest, and a small femur bone is there. Did we ever say what was in the locked chest? We made there be a locked chest in this room, and we never specified what was in the chest. That is cruel. It's an empty chest. Locked chest contains a spell scroll, mold earth. That's like one thing in it. They're gonna get into this big combat, and then there's like there's a cantrip spell scroll in the chest. You know, it's got like this message on it that's like, haha, sucker. Except that the ogre is not smart enough to do that sort of thing, right? And so it's just some discarded like little locked chest. I don't know. There we go. Bam, that's done. The troll spin-off cartoon was actually stone protectors. Close though. I feel like there's some context that I'm missing somewhere there. Moving on. I gotta click the right thing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, spell scroll, prestidigitation. You know what? We're gonna put that in the same chest. Because we need to get this done. And that way they get two things in that locked chest. There we go. Loot to be distributed. We have a hat of disguise. Now, the hat of disguise is super cool. I definitely want them to find this. We do not want them to miss the hat of disguise. So we're going to put this in a spot where they can't miss it. Where's my map? We could put that in a treasure hoard. Yeah, we could just put it in the treasure hoard. That makes sense to me, I think. Ooh, I got an idea. Oh, wait, somebody said something. One of the ogres has a comparatively small hat. This is the hat of disguise. He wears it to look bigger as he is smaller than an average ogre. Okay, I like that idea. Where would this ogre be? They do have... Oh, you know what? There is... Oh, stand by. I have an idea. There is a ogre patrol that they run into at the very beginning of the adventure. And there are two of them. We could say that one of those ogres has the hat... We could either say that one of these ogres has the hat of disguise. The only thing is that these ogres are the ones with the platforms. And so I don't know if disguising themselves would make a lot of sense if they have platforms on their back with gnomes throwing potions from them. So, Fear says it should be the shaman with the hat. Turns out he's actually a goblin. Dude, I like it. That's a good idea. Let's do that. All right. Where's my shaman? Find my shaman. Hat of Disguise. Hat of Disguise. Bam. That's awesome. And let's just make a little note here. Shaman. And then we will say the shaman is actually a goblin using a hat of disguise to appear larger. Now, I don't know if a hat of disguise can actually cause you to appear that big, but it's okay. We'll just roll with it. I like that idea. It's a really cool idea. And we want to go up to the very beginning here to our NPCs. And because I have a note up here, the shaman is actually a goblin using a hat of disguise to appear larger, to appear as an ogre. Yeah. I like it. Great idea, dude. And do we have any loot left? We just have the coins. I'm just going to make this simple. And we're going to throw all of the coins. One of my other cats is down here bothering me. This is Mommy Cat. Mommy Cat does not like being picked up. So I am not going to be able to put her on camera. She's adorable, though. All of the gold is going to go into the treasure hoard. So, loot. And there it is. So the treasure hoard basically just has a bunch of gold in it. Copper piece. No, let's rephrase this. Our treasure hoard has a bunch of crappy copper pieces that amounts to basically 4 gold pieces. No, 42 gold pieces. Silver pieces amounting to 60 gold pieces, and then 140 gold pieces. So our treasure hoard actually kind of sucks. There's not a lot of gold in there. And we were also saying that, like, weren't there... I thought we had something hiding under the treasure. Maybe not. Oh, no, the Iron Cobra was out in the different chamber, so never mind. I thought... I've done it before where I've had, like, mounds of treasure, and then there are, like, monsters and stuff hiding under the treasure. So the players come in, and then they go to get the treasure, and then, like, a beholder or something comes out of the treasure mound and attacks them. So I have done that sort of thing before. I thought that I had done it here, but I didn't. So there we go. Loot has been generated. I think we're done. I should have prepared some like celebratory or celebration music for when we finish this, but I think that we have finished our adventure, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely need to have like some sort of celebration here. I don't think I have any other notes or anything left for this guy. So it looks pretty good. Trouble on Round Hill is done. So what I will be doing is I will update this over in OneDrive for you all, and this won't take me but a second. So I will, as soon as the stream is over, I will update that for you all so you can download this, and I will also include these wonderfully drawn maps. They get the job done. I'm not gonna impress anybody with these maps, I think, but they are legible, they're understandable, and they get the job done. So there you go. I will put these out there for you guys all to download and use as you see fit. I will put this out as a Word doc so that you guys can all modify it as needed for use in your own games. So there we go. That's done. And whoops, I pushed the wrong button. And now I'm going to get a window, which I will close. All right, guys, it is question and answer time. So we have about 20 minutes left of the stream. And this is where you guys can ask me questions, and I answer questions. They can be questions, they can be Dungeon Master questions, they can be D&D questions, they can be existential questions, they can be questions about my cats, I guess. So this is your time, guys. Go ahead. And we'll have fun. There we go. Bam. We'll change the... Oh, I have a different camera. Woo! See, I have a different like view here, as you can see over here. When it's time to do the questions stuff, I like have a different screen. So the deal for the questions is if you have a question. Oh, I gotta mention who won the giveaway. If you have a question, type in hashtag all caps question, and then don't write your question in caps, and then just write your question, and then I'll answer your question. So there we go. And I'll tell you who won the giveaway. The giveaway. Oh, stand by. Who won the giveaway? What was his name again? Oh yeah, his name was Daniel Barnett. Whoa, things are going weird. Daniel Barnett won the giveaway. And yeah, so there you go. I have contacted him, and he actually does want Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. You guys all hear that? My cats are going nuts. He actually wants Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage because he is going to be running that adventure for his players. He said he said that right now he's running Curse of Strahd for his players, but once that finishes up, he will be running Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So I will be getting that to him soonish. So there you go. So I don't know if he's in the stream tonight, but sorry if you didn't win. There will always be another giveaway. I like doing giveaways because it's just a way for me to give you guys crap, right? And that's fun. Everybody likes getting crap. Good crap. All right, questions. Oh, we got a couple questions. Do you have any thoughts on Spelljammer? Yes, I do have a thought on Spelljammer. I don't know what Spelljammer is. I have never played Spelljammer. I have never read about Spelljammer. I really don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. And so that is my principal thought on Spelljammer. So yeah, sorry. That's all I got. I have a very narrow focus on what I've done for RPGs and stuff like that. Mostly Dungeons and Dragons, mostly just the standard, Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Almost all of it in Forgotten Realms, a little bit in Eberron. And then I've begun doing Call of Cthulhu, which I like a lot, actually. But no experience with Spelljammer. All right, Cody Lee says, you want to play some Magic with John and me soon? Yeah, I do. I actually want to learn to play Magic. Because John and I did that review of Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and I mean, I have no idea what Magic is about. I've never played it before, but it looks fun. So, and I like the fact that I can play it without any preparation, I think, because usually, I mean, if somebody builds the deck for me, I guess, because I'm so used to being a dungeon master and having to spend like 4 hours to prepare to run like a game session. It'll be fun to just be able to like play and not have to prepare. So, yeah. Oh, you know what we could do this. We could play Magic or something over the break, dude. Because, like, we got, like, time off and crap for Christmas, so that could be fun. We could get together at, like, Evolution Games or something and play Magic and stuff. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed the shirt I've been wearing. This is a Grand Con shirt. So, this is one of the conventions I think I'm going to start going to every year. This Grand Con takes place in Grand Rapids, Michigan, around Labor Day-ish, I think, every year. So if you are in the Michigan area and want to play some games, then yeah, Grand Con, I'll probably be there. The other convention that I go to is Marmalade Dog, which is in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And that's a super, super small convention. Very, very small. So yeah, I'm usually there too. Those are the two conventions I typically go to. I've never been to a large convention. I've never been to I've never been to Gen Con. I've never been to any of those things. I think I'm intimidated by how big they are. I grew up in a very small town, and I actually do not like. I don't like big cities, and I don't like large crowds, and the logistics of trying to like travel from a hotel that's 20 or 30 minutes away from the Gen Con Convention Center just is like, I don't think I want to mess with that. So anyway, yeah, that's just me. All right, more questions. Let's see. Elder Knight said, oh wait, We Write Weird Stuff says, I'm going to answer Elder Knights first because his question's easier. He says, what do you recommend for a first adventure module, 5th edition? The very first adventure module that you're going to run for 5th edition, the starter set, dude. Like, if you're talking about, like, level 1 through 4, level 1 through 5, I would start with the starter set, the Phandelver, Lost Mines of Phandelver, I think is what it's called. I have heard nothing but good stuff about that. I have never played it. I've never read it. But everybody I've talked to has said that it is a very solid adventure. Not just if you're learning D&D, but even just to play it. I've heard that it's really good. The modules that I'm most familiar with that I can also give you quick recommendations on. Let me find it real quick so that I look at my list of modules I've played before. Otherwise I forget them. So Princes of the Apocalypse, I can't really strongly recommend. I don't think I'm like, this is like, I'll pull this up so you guys can see this bad boy. Boom. I'm like torn on this. I think there are really cool stuff in it, but it needs some work. It needs some heavy work to make it actually playable. And I don't have time to go into all the reasons why. But it's got some problems. Let's just put that way. Mostly with logistics and the dungeons were designed badly. Not the dungeons in themselves, but the mechanism by which you go from dungeon to dungeon in the right order that they were designed to be played in is really bad. It's like dubbed a sandbox, but it was horribly implemented in my opinion. It requires the dungeon master to do quite a bit of work. The other thing, let me see what else I got going on here. I'm gonna look at some of the adventures. I mean, I have been reading Waterdeep Dragon Heist, this guy right here, and so far I'm liking what I've been reading on it. I haven't read through the entire thing. It looks pretty cool so far. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to be running this with all my characters. I think I can kind of give a recommendation for that. Curse of Strahd looks pretty fun, but that's like a really hardcore campaign. You could die pretty easily and stuff. It's kind of grim fantasy stuff, so it depends on your group of players and whatnot. But I think that's going to be really fun. I'm planning on playing that for my Sword Coast Guard group for sure. And the Waterdeep Dungeons of the Mad Mage, that's like levels 5 through 20. That looks really fun. I'm really liking the looks of that. Those are the modules that I'm most familiar with. So those are the ones that I feel most comfortable giving you feedback on, for you to do something with that. So I hope that's kind of helpful. All right, more questions. We Write Weird Stuff says, how do you introduce a party of characters who don't know each other? All right, I have two answers for this. Answer number one. I tell the players, you figure it out. Here's the premise of the game. I run a group game, which presumes that you guys are all working together, right, to accomplish your objectives. I'm holding up fingers because I usually have 5 players in my groups. You guys can all decide how you all met each other, why you're all working together, and whatnot. You guys are welcome to decide that beforehand and then be one happy party. One of the premises is that you must have a reason to work together. There must be a reason that all 5 of you are joining a band and working together. So my one answer is to put it on the players. You guys all figure out why you're working together. And the reason I like doing that is, one, it takes work off from my shoulders because the DM never needs more work. And two, the players are going to come up with a lot better idea more than likely than the DM will, I think. My ideas are usually not that great because I just take shortcuts and get stuff done. And the third reason is that your players will be more invested in that reason for being together if they come up with the idea themselves. And so that is a recommendation for that. The second recommendation is meet in a tavern, because I don't care. I know it's cliched, I know everybody does it, but there's a lot of good things that happen in taverns. There's lots of good reasons that a tavern is a good place to meet. You can start off with a tavern brawl and just do stuff like that to get people, into things or whatnot. A tavern is like a melting pot. People come into town, you go to a tavern, you get some food, you unwind and stuff like that. You get rooms for the night. So a tavern is usually centrally located in a city, so there is lots of other services around that the players would have access to. So there are lots of good reasons to start in a tavern. I know there are lots of people that are like, taverns are so lame, everybody starts in a tavern. You know what, I don't care. If it works, it works. I don't put there are so many aspects of the game that you can spend time on. How characters meet is honestly not a big priority for me. I would rather spend my time on other things, which is why I think my first option, having the players decide, is the best way to go. Because then as the DM, I don't have to spend time on it, and the players will come up with a meaningful thing that actually is meaningful. So there you go. That's my answer, buddy. All right. We got a bunch of questions. Holy crap. Wow, I'm almost in the mood to just keep answering questions tonight and not stopping at 10. Almost. We'll see. It depends on how far the coffee runs. I see a bunch of questions, and I like answering questions. I actually enjoy the question and answer live streams a lot more than the adventure creation stuff, because This gives me an opportunity to like directly help you guys with things that you have. So yeah, and it's easier too. Creating an adventure on a live stream is a lot of work because I have to keep talking through everything, and it's harder to think and talk at the same time. Anyway, here we go. Elder Knight. I'm looking for questions. If I skip your question, feel free to repost it. That is not a problem. I think I have that in the text over there. Fierce Mushroom says, what is the closest victory you've ever stolen from the jaws of defeat? What about the most crushing loss at the cusp of victory? Cusp is a great word. Good word, man. I love that word. I'm a writer. I appreciate a cool vocabulary. I don't know what the question means, though. What is the closest victory you've ever stolen from the jaws of defeat? Me personally, like crushing loss at the cusp of victory. We've had lots of encounters in my games where the players were very close to defeat, like super, super close to a total TPK, and they managed to pull through. I think one of them was in my Manus Invictus group that comes to mind. They were fighting a Shadow Dragon. I think they were level 17, and this Shadow Dragon it was a hardcore, I think it was an ancient Shadow Dragon or something. It was pretty freaking sweet. And I had this Shadow Dragon flying up above, and it has a cone, a breath attack cone, and it's like a 60-foot cone, and so it has a 60-foot radius or diameter at the bottom of it. So it was flying above them, shooting its breath weapon, hitting everybody, and they almost died from this thing. It was also teleporting basically from shadow to shadow, and so they were having a hard time like knowing where it was going to end up. And I also was not having it land on the ground, which was making it really hard for the melee characters because they couldn't attack the thing. They had ranged weapons, but they weren't very effective compared to like, you know, their melee weapons and whatnot. And so they had a really hard time with it. One of the cleric cast like a spell. He cast a daylight spell on like a pebble or something, so that it would take away the advantage of teleporting from shadow to shadow. And I had what did I do? I think I had the Shadow Dragon come down, grab that pebble, and swallow it. And so it was totally obscured or something, and so that it canceled it. But that was pretty cool. They were literally like one round or a couple actions away from a TPK on that. But they pulled around, and they managed to win at the end of the day. So that was pretty cool. I've had a couple TPKs that were pretty cool too. Both of here's the thing too. Every TPK I've had has been because the players have made grave tactical mistakes. In the first one, they went into an enemy compound that was on full alert, and then once they pinpointed where the characters were, all of the enemies converged upon them. So it was a bad tactical decision on the player's part, or a strategical decision, not sure which one. And then the other TPK was the players were like, they turned undead to a group of undead who ran off, and they kept going through the dungeon, but then that same group of undead were following them, and they were ringing bells, and I was making it very obvious they were following them, but they ignored it, and they kept on going. And then they ran into a really difficult enemy, and they got sandwiched in between them, and it was a fast wipe too. Overwhelmingly wiped. But I feel in both of those cases, the players had sufficient information at their hands to make good decisions, and they just didn't make very good decisions. And usually, there are times when I can see a TPK coming, and I'll pull back a little bit, because my job as a dungeon master is to cultivate the game experience for my players, right? And so sometimes I'll pull back a little bit because they shouldn't have a TPK, right? I don't want them to have a TPK. However, there are other times, in those two cases, for instance, where it's like, you guys made really bad decisions. I gave you every opportunity to make a better decision, but you did not take advantage of it. Therefore, it is no holds bars, and I'm gonna role play these enemies to my best. And if you guys survive, you survive. If you don't, then that's on you. And in those two cases, they did not survive. There have been other times where they made bad decisions, and I was just going full bore, and they pulled through as well. So it doesn't always result in a TPK. But in those two cases, it did. So there you go. I think that answers your question a little bit, maybe. Fierce says he will play Magic. Now, Fierce, if I remember correctly, I think you live like in California or something. Something tells me that you were out like in the Pacific or something time frame. But if you want to jump on a plane and come out to Michigan, yeah, we'll play Magic the Gathering with you. Yeah, absolutely. Mitch has a question. Ideas on how to encourage new players who are shy to role play their characters more. Oh, that's a good question. I think if you want them to role play their characters, then I would just ask. So there are two different things for role playing. So one version that I think we have in our minds of role playing is when we're having a social interaction with an NPC and we're talking. Maybe we're talking in character, right? The other way to role play your character is just stating what you're going to do. What is your character going to do? Whether it's in combat or out of combat. So in those two cases, what I would do is I would have the NPC, address that character. For instance, it's a shopkeeper. The shopkeeper directly says to that person, what would you like to buy? Or if they're talking with maybe they're talking with an NPC, like a quest giver or something like that. The NPC quest giver directly talks to that player's character and talks and asks questions or something like that. Try to pull that person into the game a little bit to let them talk. Here's the thing. In a typical group, you might have 5 players. You're probably going to find 1 or 2 of them are like the really talkative ones. And if you let them, they will dominate all of the conversations. And then you might have 1 or 2 that are trying to get a word in but can't. And then the middle finger was coming up. That's a like counting on my fingers. Boom, 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 boom. It was just happening. And then you're going to have 1 player maybe who's shy and doesn't feel comfortable butting in or saying things. So you kind of, as a dungeon master, make sure you go around the table, and if you notice that a couple players are talking a whole lot, make sure you directly ask the ones that aren't talking, what do you want to do? Well, what does your character say to this person? And that way you can try to encourage them to participate. And sometimes you really kind of got to quiet down the talkative ones to give other players at the table an opportunity to do things. And so I hope that helps a little bit. You might try also, if that doesn't help, you might also just try doing like maybe an individual session with that player, like a one-on-one for one session, to just kind of let them get a feel for role playing, because sometimes players feel hesitant doing that because of the other players at the table, an audience that might make them shyer. So if they were just playing with you, that might make them feel more comfortable, and then once they get the feel of it, they might feel better doing it with the other players at the table. So that is some thoughts off the top of my head. I don't know how good advice that is, but that's some advice. Fierce says he's been playing Magic for 16 years. That's awesome, dude. Little CMB says, are we going to make another adventure? It was fun. If so, when? I think so, Fierce. No, that wasn't Fierce. Little CMB. I think so. I actually had an idea. There's this like map maker that I follow on Instagram, and he makes pretty cool maps. And so my thought was I could just grab one of his pre-made maps and we could just start creating an adventure, just populating rooms with monsters and coming up with ideas for what the storyline is and stuff like that. So I think we're going to do that in the future for sure. At some point. It's probably we're gonna try to make it less involved than the one we just did, because it took us 4 streams to get through that adventure, and that's a lot of streams and talking about the adventure. I mean, unless you guys all found that super fun, but I want to do other things with the streams too, besides create adventures. I mean, unless that's fun, unless that's really cool, maybe people all get lots of benefit from that and value from it, in which case we could keep doing that. But that was my thought anyway, because that prevents us from doing things like having maps that look like this and this right here. We'll just grab like a pre-generated one and call it a day. So yes, that's my thought. We will probably do more of those. Elder Knight says, how do you feel about the alignment system with D&D? Oh man, that's a box of worms. A box of worms? Can you buy worms in boxes? Bucket of worms? Can of worms. I finally found my container type. It's probably in the Dungeon Master Guide, container types. And you got to get the right one. I think Squeaky's joining us. Look at him. He's trying to climb up there. He made it. He made it. Alignment system. That's a whole video. I think there have been a lot of YouTubers I've noticed recently. Look at Squeaky. He's adorable. There have been a lot of YouTubers doing alignment videos, and I probably have it in my list to do an alignment video. I will give you a 2-second thought on alignment. I don't care. I don't care about alignment. As a dungeon master, I could care less what a player's alignment says on his character sheet. It doesn't matter to me. I have really only one real kind of rule in my games, and that is that don't play an evil character. The type of game that I run is I'm assuming that you are all good guys and that you are fighting to help fight the bad guys. As long as you're doing that, I don't really care what your character sheet says. I've had a player actually once play a lawful evil character, and it worked totally. He was always helping the good guys to accomplish the goals that they needed because it fit his true motives, right? Excellent role player. That guy was an excellent role player. Also, the only player I've ever had to kick out of my group, too. And it wasn't because of his role playing. It was because of other stuff. But really, really good role player. I like that guy a lot. It's too bad things didn't turn out well for all of us. So that is my short answer to alignment. I don't really care. There are lots of other more fun stuff in the game. Alignment usually, in my experience, alignment usually results in bickering at the table. Wait a second, you're lawful good. Would your character really do that? Well, yeah, my character would do that. And then you just have this back and forth bickering about... I don't find there to be a lot of fun and value in that, honestly. So I just hand wave it, and I don't really care. That's my short answer. I'm sure I could come up with a more professional, answer at some point in time, but that is not today. So my camera's out of focus. It's because I'm doing all the hand waving. There we go. That helped. All right, more questions. Little CMB says you have to make the header not adventure name here for this adventure. Oh, let's go check this out. Where is that? Adventure name here. Good point. Good point, man. Trouble in Round Hill. There we go. Bam. Bam again. All right. Save. Done. Done. All right, more questions. Ted Berger's in the house. What's up, dude? Good to see you, man. I'm glad you could make it. Ted is in my Sword Coast Guard group. Ted has the best dice in the world. And let's just leave it at that. Fierce says, to introduce a group of people who have never met, throw them all in the same jail cell. Yeah, that could be an interesting start for sure. Absolutely. Ted says, I'm considering patronage. Can I use my existing character to level ahead or gain items outside the normal group to use with the group? Or wine instead of coffee? So you're saying you'll pay me to level up your character? Let's talk. All right. He says, the last big boss battle we almost took and you couldn't kill me. You tried so hard. Had I died, I would have been my own stupidity. What boss battle was that? Which one are you talking about, man? Let me know. I don't recall. It's been a while since we played, and my head has not been thinking about our campaign. Okay. Fierce says he lives in NC, North Carolina, right? That's not too bad. North Carolina is like a 15 hour drive from Michigan. So you could come up and play Magic with us, man. Fierce says to get new players to roleplay, split the party, and put them in social situations. Yeah, you could do that. Absolutely. It forces them. They have to say something because they're the only ones there, right? You could do that for sure. Alpha Draco 2015 has a question after coffee. The other use of the coffee, the tactical coffee, is if I need to gather my thoughts or think about something, I just take a drink of coffee and then I think about stuff. All right, anyway, his question is, I should have taken the drink of coffee after reading the question. That would have been smarter. How often should I let a PC get a magic item? They're level 4s and each have around 1 to 2 magic items. Is that too much or no? Yeah, that's enough. I would hold off for a second or two. I would wait for them to get a few more levels before you give them more magic items. Here's the thing. Dungeons & Dragons, I'm assuming you're playing 5th edition. If you're not playing 5th edition, then I don't think I have anything valuable to say to you. It's been a long time since I've played the other editions. I don't remember a whole lot about them. I remember enough to know that I love 5th edition compared to the other ones. So, but if you're playing 5th edition, I got some cat. Oh, this is Orange. Orange is down here. All right, guys. I'm going to see if I can pull Orange up into the live stream. Stand by. Orange. Come here, Orange. I'm adorable. Orange is adorable. He's like afraid. He doesn't want to come out. Orange, come here. Orange, you big baby. Oh. Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. He's gigantic. He's gigantic. Look at his belly. He's adorable. Look at this belly. You guys see this belly? Oh my gosh, there's a big bald belly. That guy is awesome. So here's the story with his big bald belly. When we got them neutered, like when they were young, they put this like, I mean, they make incisions and stuff, but they also put a tattoo on their bellies so that veterinarians in the future know they've already been fixed. And Orange like became obsessed with licking his tattoo and licking his belly and legs, and so he is constantly licking himself, which takes all the fur off from him. And he will sit there and he looks like Buddha, you know. He's just got this massive belly coming out as he sits like a person licking himself. It's nuts. So that's why he has a bald belly. He licks himself compulsively. He's got like, what do they call it? OCD for licking his belly. Anyway, I was answering a question and then I got sidetracked. We were talking about magic items. So 5th edition is really well balanced. I mean, if you just have the characters themselves without any magic items at all, they're pretty powerful. Characters in 5th edition are pretty bad, but I have to avoid using bad words on YouTube. They actually crawl your audio looking for bad words and then make certain decisions based on bad words you might use. So it's actually not good to use like profanity. Besides the fact that I, as a general rule, don't swear as a person, it's not good to use them in videos. So my point is that characters in 5th edition are already pretty well balanced for not having magic items. So giving them too many magic items just makes them more and more powerful, which means that in the Dungeon Master Guide, there are like rules for creating encounter difficulties and stuff like that. And if you give your players too many magic items, those rules really break apart. Now, those rules don't work very well anyway, especially past level 8 or so. But if you have too many magic items for your players, then those rules fall apart even more. And so I would rather give my players fewer magical items. And they still do super, super well, even with few magic items. I would rather give them fewer magic items than more magic items. But if you do want to just give your players tons of magic items, then you need to be aware of how that affects game balance and other things so that you can make your encounters more difficult to account for the additional magic items you're giving them. But that's just a thought. I mean, you're welcome to... If your players have fun with it, if you enjoy doing it, then you can give them more magic items. You know, my recommendation is... And here's the other thing, too. If you give your players tons and tons of magic items lose their specialness. Okay? It no longer becomes a cool and fun thing to get a magic item if they're always getting magic items. Those magic items become commonplace to them. So when you get fewer of something, that something becomes more special and it becomes a more memorable event for your players. So my recommendation is to not give quite so many magic items. That way it maintains game balance more, but it also makes it really cool when they do get a magic item. So just some thoughts. All right. Fierce Mushroom says, how does the $100 donation tier work? I'd like to, but I'm not sure if I have the time. Okay, so he's asking about my Patreon page. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to... I mean, I don't like plugging stuff because I am not a plugger. I don't know if you guys notice this, but in my videos that I do, when I have to do a plug, when I do my plugs, I'm always I always feel icky about it. So, but it is the nature of life, I suppose. So we will look at my Patreon page really quick here. What Fierce is asking about is my different tiers I have for my Patreon page. and he's talking about the $100 tier. And the $100 tier, basically, is you get to play in a D&D game with me. And the way that works, basically, is we have once a month, we have a 4-hour-long D&D game that I will DM for you. Currently, there is nobody at that tier. And so the way that would work is, I think, once I get 5 people, once I have 5 people, then that game begins. So, Fierce, if you were to sign up for that tier, and there's only one of you, then I would basically, every month, I would refund your $100. Okay? So, I would refund $100 or something like that. Yeah, I think I would refund your money, $90. Because you get all the previous tier benefits. Every month, I would refund $90 until we actually have 5 people. At that point, we'll start playing D&D together. But until we actually get the 5 people, you'll just keep getting a refund, because I'm not going to charge you $100 every month, if we're not actually playing the game. I would wait until I would take your money like once we actually have enough people to start playing the game. So that's how it works. Now, if you don't have time, it's 4 hours once a month, right? So, if you don't have time for that, then you don't have time for that. You know what I mean? But if you do, then yeah, knock yourself out, man. Does that make sense? Did I answer that question? All right, moving on to the next one. By the way, if you care about Patreon and stuff like that, there's a link down in the description if you want to support the channel. So yeah, I have 4 patrons right now. It's cool. I like it. It's fun stuff. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, my goal is to help people. That is my goal. I have a dream one day of like being able to quit my full-time job and just make videos for you all and hang out with you and help you all run awesome games and stuff like that. Maybe that'll happen one day. All right, let's see. We got some other questions up here. Ted says, "Don't hate, just learn to roll." Dude, I think it's my dice. My dice, I need to like cook them in the oven to make sure they roll better. Oh, the Mummy Lord. Oh yeah. So Ted decided, they were in the middle of a fight, and Ted decided to go off by himself, and he woke up more of the dungeon, and he almost died to a Mummy Lord. I did my best to try to kill him. My goal was to kill his character, because literally the group was in a fight over here, and he decided to go off by himself doing other stuff. And he woke up another big battle, like the boss battle. And I was like, that's bullcrap, dude. You know better than that. And so I tried to kill him. He got away. He escaped. He got lucky. Oh, look at this. Alpha Draco says, "Tactical cat to think about the answers questions answered." Yeah, exactly. The tactical coffee, the tactical cat while I'm thinking about stuff. Hey, Joshua's in the house. What's up, dude? Hey, no problem, man. I'm glad you could join us, dude. It's good to see you, man. I was wondering if you'd be able to join us tonight, so I'm glad you were able to pop in, buddy. Are you working tonight? Are we broadcasting live to GameStop? I know in the past, Josh has put us on live at GameStop when he's been working there. So if so, I can do a little plug for like your deal of the day or something like that for your GameStop customers. Little Sam B says, 2 good ways to balance magic items. Give the enemies consumable magic items, or don't give them combat magic items. Yep, I agree. I think that non-combat magic items are some of the most fun magic items in the game, by far. And it also spurs your players on to like creativity and crap. New heights of creativity. So I definitely like non-combat magic items, for sure. All right, guys, keep the questions coming. If you got questions, I see one more, at least. Fierce says, "I'm less inclined to give them magic items and armor than magic utility items. Items that encourage creative thinking." Fierce, you and I are on the same page, man. I agree with you. Alpha Draco says, "Who won the Waterdeep giveaway?" It was, what's his name again? Daniel Barnett was the name of the dude. He won the giveaway. So if that was you, congratulations. And if that's not you, then better luck next time. That reminds me of Happy Gilmore, where he's like trying out for the hockey team, and if you guys have seen the show, it's funny. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then my explaining it to you will probably not be funny. So we'll just stop there. Oh, Ted is considering it as well. What, the $100 tier, Ted? Ted, you already play with me in person. You want to play online too? He's like, Ted like drives like 45 minutes or something crazy to come to my games and stuff, and he's always giving me stuff. He gave me like he gave me like this big massive miniature dragon and crap that I have been doing my best to kill the players in Manus Invictus group with that dragon. What I do is every game session I take this dragon out and I put it on the map. They're not actually fighting a dragon, but I just put it on the map. It's just sitting there, staring at them the entire game session. This like palpable threat to their well-being. And then, because right now what they're doing is they're going through the Temple of Tiamat in the Nine Hells right now. And so they are encountering half-dragons, Abishai, and actual dragons, and crazy stuff right now. And so I keep this big dragon mini out on the map as like a tangible threat to them during the whole game session. And they never know when I'm actually going to use the mini or not. And so I've been doing that with that dragon mini that you gave me, dude. So it's cool. Fierce says he could possibly swing it. Dude, Fierce, I'll tell you what, man. If you make the drive up here, we'll play some Magic together, and we can do some Dungeons and Dragons or something. I mean, we can make a thing out of it. That'd be fun. Little CMB says, for money to DM, how much would you say you have to be DMing to be a part-time job? Oh, I don't know, man, but I'll tell you what, like, dungeon mastering is a lot of work, and it requires a lot of prep and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could pull up an Excel spreadsheet and, like, punch some numbers real quick. All right. So, like, here's an Excel spreadsheet. What's a part-time job make? Like, let's just say that I take home $5,000 a month, right? But that has, like, insurance benefits and medical benefits and stuff built into it, you know? So I would have to, I mean, for a part-time job, I'd have to be getting $2,500 a month, right? For that to, like, support, I'm just throwing some spitball numbers. I don't know if I actually make this or not. But I would have to make that much money, you know. I mean, I've actually gone through like the brain exercise of like trying to figure out how much I would have to get paid per hour to dungeon master, you know. And let's go back to our Excel spreadsheet. So here's the thing, for every 1 hour in a game session that I'm actually running the game, you can roughly assume that I am spending an hour out of the game session preparing for that game. So that's a total of 2 hours, right? Preparing for a game session. So let's just say that you were to pay me $100 for a game session of 4 hours. That actually comes out, for those 4 hours, I'm actually getting paid $25 an hour. However, I didn't actually spend 4 hours. I actually spent 8 hours because there was time preparing, which means I'm getting paid $12.50 an hour to run that game. However, I also have transportation time. I'm probably driving somewhere, so that kind of goes down even more. So if I get paid $100 for one game session, I'm probably getting maybe $10 an hour, which is like pretty close to minimum wage. So I'm not getting paid anything for that. And here's the other thought that I've had about this as well. Entertainment is a very highly valued commodity in our society. If you look at all of the people in our society that make big money, and let's just discount like corporate executives, but the people in our society, I'm talking about the American society, I guess, the US society, that make tons of money are the actors, the actresses, the athletes. All of these people, what do? They entertain us. And they're the ones that make the big money. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that a dungeon master, his primary job, in my opinion, and his goal is to provide entertainment for his players. And so a dungeon master that does that well, he basically provides, my game sessions are about 6 hours long or longer. And so I'm providing 6 or plus hours of entertainment to a group of 5 people, right? Now, let's think this out. If we were to go to the movies, right? A movie, and we're going to use our Excel spreadsheet some more. This is just a purely theoretical exercise of how much a DM's time is valued potentially if you were to charge for game sessions, because we're on the topic, so let's just think about it. But if you were to go to a movie, and I'm not proposing that you should pay your dungeon masters. I'm not saying that. This is purely a hypothetical, theoretical exercise to look at some numbers and just think it through, okay? Because there are some people that think that it's like immoral to charge people to run a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and I think that's silly. I think that it's not actually thinking things through very well, in my opinion. To think that it's immoral, considering that if you were to go to the movies, if I take my wife, so let's assume 5 people want to go to the movies. Tickets are about $15 each, so plus 5 times 15. So tickets cost $75. Everybody's getting a bag of popcorn or something. Let's just say that popcorn for everybody and a drink is another $50. So those 5 people to go to the movies are going to pay $125. Now, a movie generally provides, let's say, about 2 hours of entertainment. Now, a Dungeons & Dragons game lasts generally 4 hours. So that's $250, right? So to get a similar duration of entertainment that a movie provides, a dungeon master could reasonably charge, say, $250. I'm just saying, just to give an example or something, for a 4-hour game session. All right, and then he would be getting paid a much more reasonable. If we assume that he is spending about 8 hours prepping for and all told for that game session, now he's getting paid about $30 an hour. That is not unreasonable when you consider that we value entertainment as a society as high as we do. $30 an hour that's not unreasonable to get paid that much to provide entertainment to your players. So I don't know why we're on this topic, but there you go. somebody asked something related to that got me on that. So there you go. I think I also had a discussion once with somebody who was asking me how much he should charge. He was thinking about starting up, and there are DMs that will charge you to run games. And the thing is that if I were charging to run games for people, those would have to be amazing games. I would feel that I would have to do an amazing job to actually charge people the money for it. You know what I mean? So anyway, but there is a tangent about paid DMs for you. I don't know how we got on that, but there we go. I think we have discussed that enough. We can move on to something else. Tactical coffee. All right. So the final answer is Dungeon Masters, $30 an hour is what you charge. All right. Oh, Josh says that he is wrapping gifts. Awesome. I have not bought anything for Christmas yet, so I need to do that. Ooh. Ted Berger says, let's see how tactical you are when we play again. I have a new beverage for you. Oh my gosh. Ted usually brings me like drinks for our games, and he brought me 4 Locos once. Never again. Never again. Let's just leave it at that. Tomb of Horrors has a mummy lord. Our necromancer used his ability to take control of it because Tomb of Horrors. Oh, cool. Now, Tomb of Horrors is in Tales from the Yawning Portal. I've read through it. It seems interesting. I'll leave it at that. It bears to see how it plays out at the game table. Can you give an example of a non-combat magic item? The Hat of Disguise that we just created for the adventure is a good example of that. Portable Hole is an example of that. What else would you have? A Hat of Intellect, or there is a hat or a helmet that lets you talk different languages. Those are non-combat magic items. A Flying Carpet, non-combat magic item. So those are things that don't directly improve your ability in combat. They're things that you would use more creatively in the game. So those are some examples. Ted says he drives an hour and 20 minutes to play. That's crazy, dude. CMB says, where do I live? I live in Michigan. I live in the Lansing, Michigan area. That is no secret because that goes in my Facebook posts all the time. So Lansing, Michigan. Ted says he has a whole travel case of goodies. I don't need any more for you at next session. Oh, cool. Cool, dude. I am always welcome. I am always willing to take free stuff.
Oh, your last. Oh, Alpha Draco says his last name is Gilmore. Oh, cool, dude. Immovable Rod. Immovable Rod's fun. Yeah. Ted says he pays his DM in alcohol. And yeah, dude. Fierce says if I was you, for a starting cost of a new campaign, $200 startup cost for the first session and $100 for each subsequent session. You could do that. It definitely takes more work to get it going at first than to run other sessions. Honestly, I feel that's underpriced. I think a Dungeon Master's time is worth more than that, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I get paid more than that at my day job per hour. If you break down per hour, right, how much I actually get paid, like it's better. It is better if I'm only getting paid $10 an hour. It's better for me to just go out and get, unless you consider that you're doing something that you enjoy. You know what I mean? I can go out and get a part-time job getting paid more than that. You know what I mean? So there's something to consider there. But you are doing something that you enjoy, I guess. So there's, there's that discussion. But anyway. All right, guys. I think I'm at the bottom of the chat, and I don't see any questions. So I'm going to take a tactical drink of coffee, probably run to the bathroom. And if there are no more questions, then we're going to end it for tonight. So I will be back in a moment. And if you have any questions, throw them up. Otherwise, it's all over. So we're taking an intermission break, and I will be back momentarily. All right, and we're back. So I like how I threaten to stop the stream, and then I get a couple questions. That's awesome. It's like, I'm leaving if you don't give me questions. So the cat that you guys all just saw, that's my cat Tay-Tay, and she's a little monster. Like she literally is about 6 or 7 pounds. Crap you not. The littlest thing in the world, and all my other cats are about 15 pounds, 17 pounds. They're like big fatties. And she has them all terrified. When she shows up and starts chasing them, like Squeaky, who is the biggest cat, probably about 18 pounds, big old tubber. She will chase after him and Squeaky just runs. He's terrified of her. She has them all terrified. Today she was going after them and I had to put her out in the garage like a... What do you call that? What do they do that to kids when they're punishing them? They put them like in a corner or something, and they call it, what do they call it? A quiet time or something? I forget what they call that. I don't know. Anyway, I had to give her like a timeout. A timeout. That's the name of it. I had to give her a timeout in the garage because she was like terrorizing the other cats. All right. Anyway, bunch of questions. Awesome. I love it. Ted says he used a bag of holding to trap a vampire once. That was fun. That's cool, man. Oh, Fierce says I'm looking at this as a cash transaction, so you won't be paying taxes. I mean, that's a fair point. However, I mean, technically you're supposed to declare any income at the end of the year to your accountant and whatnot. And so I see what you're saying. Legally, though, you're supposed to declare all income. And we know that everybody does that, right? All right. Fierce says, what is your favorite player class and why? I can tell you which player class I hate. Does that count? I could answer 2 questions. Paladin. Hate paladins. Hate paladins. I'll tell you why I hate paladins. They are the most overpowered class in the entire game. You take, and I've witnessed this firsthand. I will take a party of 5 players, no paladin, and they'll go against an encounter and struggle. Same party, only one person wasn't there, and a different player came and brought a paladin. Steamroll. It's over. Can't the monsters can't do anything because of the paladin. And here's why. And this is a higher level paladin. It is not because paladins do lots of damage. Paladins have like their smite, and they can do a lot of damage with smites, but that's not the reason that paladins are so powerful. They're powerful because they provide usually a +5 bonus to all saving throws in a 10-foot or 30-foot radius, depending on what level they are. Because usually you're going to build your paladin to have a high charisma, so he'll have a +5 modifier, and they can give their charisma bonus to saving throws to all companions that are within 10 feet of them, and then I think at level 17 it becomes 30 feet. And so once everybody is getting a +5 to all of their saves, it's really hard to hit them with spells. They're always making their saves. They do things like give immunity to charm, immunity to fear, immunity to lots of other things. So the reason that paladins are so powerful is that they increase survivability of the entire party by a ton. They bring a lot of things to the table. And so I say that I hate them because when there's a paladin in the party, I have to change how I design my encounters. If I don't, they will a lot of times pose no challenge at all to the players. And remember, the DM's job is to curate the adventure, to curate the game experience for the players. So I want to make sure that my players are challenged sometimes. And if there's a paladin in the party, that means that I need to change how I design things so that they can actually be challenged from time to time. And so I've constantly, every time there's a paladin, it's the same story. It's like, so that is the class I don't like. I think that they're not well balanced relative to other classes, which is either a good thing or a bad thing. There's the whole argument of, do the classes have to be balanced? Should they be balanced? Is it okay for one to be more powerful than the other? From the Dungeon Master standpoint, it would be nice if they were all balanced. That way I can design encounters in one way and it would fit the group no matter what it was. Because the thing is that I use a system with on-call players. If a normal player can't make it, I'll invite somebody else to come play, and they might bring a different type of character that I didn't design the adventure for, you know what I mean? Taking into account their abilities and stuff like that. So I didn't answer your question, though. I answered my question. Tactical coffee. My favorite player class. I don't like warlocks. They're boring to me. I'm going to go with rogue. I love rogues. Yep, there we go. Done. Rogue. I love rogue. Why do I love rogue? Rogues have really good DPS in combat. Rogues are like this special skill monkey. They can do so many things. They're so versatile. You always have a place in combat. You're always doing things in combat that are fun. Sneak attack is awesome. Okay? You're stealthy. You're sneaky. You can infiltrate things. You can disguise yourself. You can, there's so many things a rogue can do that really just makes it a well-rounded character. And almost no matter what type of game you're playing, because different DMs run different style of games, a rogue almost always has a place where he fits in. You're finding traps. You're disarming traps. You're the one that can make it through the trap without getting harmed if you need to. So you can go first. Rogues are just awesome. So versatile, so very powerful. I love rogues. There you go. There's my answer. Rogues. Rogue. All right, more questions. Fierce. Ted says, fierce road trip for a D&D game. Yeah, man. Little CMB. Question. Most interesting abuse of a magic item. Mine was vials of everlasting fire. Rip City. That's I don't know if it was an abuse. So here's the thing. Whenever a magic item is traveling into abuse territory, where it is being used for something that I don't feel that it shouldn't work, I just pause and I have a discussion with my players and I say, hey guys, you know what? You guys are having this idea for using this magic item in a way that totally unbalances things. So I can either nerf the magic item, or you guys could just not use it that way. So I just have an honest discussion with my players, and usually everybody's understanding because we're adults and we are like, that's cool, that's fine. But one magic item that constantly was being used to wonderful effect was a staff of insects. I think it's called a staff of insects. It can create an insect swarm, which is heavy obscurement, so nobody can see through it. It does damage as well, I think. But it also, the caster who's holding the staff of insect swarm, he can see just fine, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And so he was using this a lot of times to sneak past enemies, to get them out of trouble. Like, if they were having a really tough time of it, he'd call an insect swarm, the enemies couldn't see anybody, and so the players would be able to safely retreat and stuff like that. They once were able to get through a chamber with beholders up top, because the beholders, they can only shoot you with their eye rays if they can see you. So they were able to sneak through that chamber and bypass some beholders, which later on came floating, following them, and attacked them anyway, because, yeah, you didn't actually deal with the encounter. You bypassed it, and the beholders got orders. They were undead beholders. They got orders from their necromancer master to follow you, and so you had to deal with them. Sneaking past things doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, not all the time. That was cool though. I like that. All right. Fierce says 15 hours is a stout drive. I'd rather just fly it. Yeah, dude. If you're thinking of doing that, then we will make it. We'll have to do it where we make it worth your effort, man. Because I would not want somebody to travel that far and then be disappointed with the experience. Because that would suck. I would be upset if I traveled that far and then, a 2-hour game session and that sucked. I'd be mad. So if you ever think of doing that, dude, we make it worth your while for sure. Alpha Draco says, question, what's a reasonable amount of time to have in between sessions? My campaign right now is every Friday and lasts about 4 to 6 hours long. Okay, so there's no right answer to this. Tactical coffee? Actually, I've been talking for like almost 3 hours straight, and so my throat is getting kind of hoarse right now. And so the coffee is less for me to think and more for me to try to not get... I should actually be drinking water, not coffee. Water's probably going to be better for me. There's no right answer to how often you should have your game sessions. I have found personally that every 2 weeks works really well. The reason that every 2 weeks works really well is that if you have a weekly game session, it can be hard for people to set that time aside. And so you might find that with a weekly game session, you have players missing the game a lot. Because if you're an adult, you got a job, you got a family, right? It could be hard to set aside a weekly time where you're always playing D&D. Things are going to come up, you know what I mean? You can't always set aside that time. And so you might find players are missing because it's just hard to do that. The other thing you find is a psychological thing with the weekly game session, in my opinion. If you have a weekly game session, here you go, here's 4 weeks, and you miss this week, guess what? You're playing next week. Not a big deal. So anytime you miss a game session, it's like, meh, I'm going to play next week, so I'm not really missing out. Now, when you have game sessions, there's only, see if I can do this. If there's only 2 game sessions a month, right, and you miss one of them, then you're going to go nearly a month without playing D&D. And so I feel like there's greater incentive not to miss the game session, just for this, if assuming your players want to play D&D, not playing it for a month
is not cool. Like, I want to play D&D. I don't want to go a whole month without playing it. So I think that there's some incentive to not miss sessions, which might help with attendance. And running it twice a month too is going to help your players fit it into their schedule a little bit better. It's a lot easier 2 times a month to set aside time for D&D than to do it every single week, I think. And so I have personally found that every 2 weeks works really well. Any more seldom than that, like once a month, I have found is kind of hard because people tend to forget what happens, and then you spend some time trying to remember that. And it's not a lot of D&D, right? It's very seldom play, and it takes a long time to get through a campaign or an adventure for that matter if you're only playing once a month. I personally have found the sweet spot to be every 2 weeks. I do that for 2 of my groups. One of my groups is every month, and then one of my groups is every week. But we do it over lunch at work, so it's just 1 hour every Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yeah, every Thursday at lunch. So I actually do it a variety of different ways, but my personal preference is once every 2 weeks. But it's a personal thing. If your group is liking it every week, and you as a DM have time to prepare for a weekly game session, that's the other thing. It's not just like what works best for your players, but it's what works best for you, because you have to prepare every week for that game session. And if you're finding it hard to get the time to do that, then you might have to back off a little bit and say, hey guys, every 2 weeks is what I can do. So I don't think there's a right answer. I think there's a lot of things to consider and find out what works best for you. All right, what do we got going on here? Questions. Mitch says, have you used any 3D printed miniatures? Yes, I'm going to show you a miniature. Stand by. I'm getting into my battle chest. So this is what I use to carry miniatures to my game sessions. It's just a tackle box. And then I have some other thingies here. And I'm going to show you. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. So I'm going to show you 2 3D printed miniatures. They're actually doors. Oh crap, what happened there? That one didn't turn out so well. I didn't make these. One of my players in my Sword Coast Guard group made these. I'm going to see if I can get this up where you can have it in focus. It's a door. And it actually works. Like the hinges stinking work on it. And it 3D printed like this. Now, it came out blue like this right here with working freaking hinges. And then my player, he painted one of the doors for me. So this is one that he painted for me. See if I can get that in focus. It's focusing on my face. There we go. And so the door opens up and my face is there. That's funny. But it has working hinges. And so I have, I believe my player said that he got this 3D printer for about $200. And it does take a long time to print these things. Like you do it like while you're at work or overnight or something like that. But I can see some striations, but like, here's the deal. If you base coat these, right? And then start painting these, like on the final product, I can still see the layers. I can still see the layers on it. So for doors, I don't mind. If you were doing like miniatures, like actual people and crap like that, then it might look a little weird to have all the layers and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's possible in the long run you're going to save a lot of money by printing your own miniatures. But yes, that is my experience with them. I like them a lot. I think they're pretty cool. I don't have one myself though. All right. Ted says, Patreon level for individual gaming session. $500, dude. $500 and I'll run D&D for you. All right. Fierce says, I'm a chef for a living. I'll cook for you if you drive. All right. Let me tell you something, Fierce. My wife is an amazing cook. She's not a chef. She's not a professional chef, but holy crap, does she cook really good food. So, yeah, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'll have to think about that. I like food. CMB says, one weekend we need 10 people to drive to Michigan and surprise the game store and we all show up to play Magic or something. Yeah, that'd be fun, dude. Yeah, I'll show up. Evolution Games in Lansing, Michigan is the place to play. Questions. I thought I saw something up here. I did. Okay, I got one more question left. I think we're going to stop at 11 o'clock, guys. 11 o'clock, and we're calling it. We're almost there. If you got more questions, throw them down here. And then that's it. I'm lagging. I am losing energy. I'm getting tired. My voice is hurting. My throat is hurting. My eyes are getting dry, and I'm about ready to call it. So, what is Ted saying? I'll get the DM drunk and kidnap him. All right, man. Little CMB says, in Tomb of Horrors, we had a paladin. They insta-killed the final boss. Morale of the story, run Tomb of Horrors at 7th to 10th level. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. That's what a paladin does. He will save his spell slots so that he can smite the final boss. And he can reliably deal well over 100 points of damage. If he hits the boss twice, he can smite twice and then deal crap loads of damage. And that does not make for a very satisfying boss fight, which is why there are DMs out there who will do something called extending hit points. And what that means, I do not know from personal experience, but what that means is that if the boss had 200 hit points during fight, he might end up with 300 or 400 hit points, depending upon how much damage is being done to him and depending upon how much he wants to curate the game experience for his players. I do not have any experience with this myself at all. I would never do that. But that is a thing. I have heard stories of that. More stuff here. Fierce likes the monk because punching an ancient dragon to death is fun. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Warlock. Yeah, you know, CMB, the reason I can't get into Warlock is that a Warlock really just feels like a ranger or a melee archer type. Because you're just always Eldritch Blast. Like, you know, and even the 2 or 3 spell slots you have, you're almost better off always using them for hex, for damage, you know. And if you use them for something else, it kind of feels like you're wasting it. I don't know. See, here's the thing. When I'm a player, I'm like a min-maxer. I totally am a min-maxer. I really get into that sort of thing. And so the Warlock just kind of feels, I don't like it. But I know there are lots of people that love Warlocks. Obviously you do. So everybody has his own preferences. That's all cool. All right, Mitch has a question. Do you prefer players take a feat or take ability score increases? All right, what do I prefer? I prefer the players to take... Now you're asking my preference, not what I allow, because those are different questions. I prefer they take the ability score increases because feats are very powerful. Feats with the proper combinations or on the proper builds are pretty powerful. And it makes my job easier if their characters are not as powerful. That's my honest answer. Most of my players take feats. I allow them, obviously. I allow them. They're an optional thing, but I do allow them. They offer options and versatility and interesting choices to the players. And players love feats, and so I allow them. And I deal with it. Even though sometimes there are crazy feat combinations that make really powerful characters. I deal with it. I used to have more of a problem with it, and I didn't like it as much. Nowadays, I'm just like, whatever. I'll just make the monsters harder. I'll do nasty little tricks mid-combat to even things out. Whatever. It's fun. Josh says, Fierce says you should be drinking bourbon. Oh, does bourbon like help with your throat and stuff, man? I might have to check that out next time. Josh says, what do you think is a broken spell or mechanic that's extremely powerful? Personally, Pass Without Trace is really strong and sometimes screws my plans up. That's interesting. A broken spell or mechanic. Now you're making me think. I don't know. Ted, are there any spells that have come up in our game that I've not liked, that I've like house ruled on, or that I thought were broken? I'm trying to think about it, Josh, and the reason I'm having a hard time thinking about it is I don't think I have a problem with many of the spells. Now, there are definitely spells that are more powerful,
Animate objects is a very powerful spell. If you animate 8 tiny objects, they do a crap load of damage. Very powerful spell. A lot of the spells that were traditionally powerful or broken, like Wish, have all been scaled down in 5th edition and really aren't that much of a problem anymore. Banishment is a very powerful spell. I don't think any of these spells I'm mentioning are broken. Let me be clear. I'm just mentioning ones that I think are powerful, and then I might talk myself into thinking one of them is broken, but I'm not sure anything comes out to head. Banishment's very powerful. Wall of Force is very powerful. Now you'll notice some of these spells that I'm mentioning that are very powerful are spells that don't do damage. In my opinion, some of the most powerful spells a wizard or a sorcerer can use are not the ones that do damage. They're the ones that control the battlefield. They quarantine off a bunch of enemies, banishing them or putting them in a wall of force so that the players can beat down another group of enemies, and then they can take care of the other enemies that were like quarantined off. So controller wizards are hold person, stuff like that. Controller wizards, sorcerers, clerics, and stuff are so much more powerful than just dealing raw damage almost any day of the week. Hypnotic Pattern is a very powerful spell. That is actually, there you go. That's borderline broken in some cases. Hypnotic Pattern, I think it's a second or third level spell. I forget which one. I think it might be third. And basically, if you drop a Hypnotic Pattern on a group of enemies, they cannot do anything. You can literally have your player, if an entire group of enemies gets Hypnotic Patterned, your players can basically surround and pound one at a time, and it's all over. So that's very powerful. I've seen that happen before. So that might be broken-ish, but I don't really have a big problem with it. I have my own ways of dealing with it. I don't know if there's anything super, super broken in 5th edition that I can think of. There's one spell that came out in Xanathar's Guide to Everything that was broken. It was some healing spell. I forget the name of it. That's definitely broken. Absolutely. Out of combat, broken as crap. I forget the name of it, though. Nothing really too horrible. I have very few house rules for 5th edition. I haven't found the need for too many house rules. Mitch says, I love having a couple 3D printers. All my players get their hero minis printed. Yeah, that's awesome. Tweety Bird retracted a message. All right, man. I wonder what he said. The right combination of feats can be game-breaking. Yeah, it can be. I mean, at the very least, it forces the Dungeon Master to design his encounters differently. A fighter who takes, like, Crossbow Master or something like that, and, like, hand crossbow. There's some combination there. I have a player that does it. I forget the details offhand, but it's very powerful. Plus 10 to initiative is huge. Absolutely. Sorry, there's like a feat that does that. All right, 5 minutes to go, and we're out of here, guys, because I'm tired. I'm losing it. Alpha Draco says, question, would you rather play on Roll20, if you've ever done that, or play in person? My preference is online because it helps me set up adventures and not have to worry about losing the map paper. I have never played online, but I can tell you that I love playing in person. One, I have lots of minis, and I paint minis, and the only way that I can use those minis is in person, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is I just like getting together with friends and playing Dungeons & Dragons in person and laughing and having a fun time. That to me is just, I love it. I've always played in person, and I have a bias toward it. I would probably, obviously, have to play online to see how I like it. I am sure that there are advantages and disadvantages to each style of play. I think a lot of people play online because it's easier to play across distances, because it's easier to find people to fill a group up. Or like if you have friends from college and you all move to different cities and stuff like that. There are obviously advantages and disadvantages to each, I feel. I've always done it in person, and I love playing in person. I would never, if given the option, I would never probably want to stop playing in person to go online. All right, the Media Monger. I finally made it. What's up, Media Monger? How's it going, buddy? I'll tell you what, dude. You made it, and we have 3 minutes left in the stream. So if you got a question for me, Media Manager, a Dungeon Master question, D&D question, now is your chance. Because we're about ready to live. Polymorph. Oh, yeah. Ted, that's a good point. Polymorph is a really powerful spell. You can polymorph into a T-Rex, right? Which is not as useful as you would think, considering that a lot of dungeons don't have 15-foot ceilings or 20-foot ceilings to accommodate a T-Rex. And when a T-Rex is always squeezed, and he has disadvantage on his attacks, and all the enemies have advantage on their attacks against him, it doesn't work quite as well as you would think. So it's very useful sometimes, other times not so much. Force Cage. Oh yeah, that was awesome. I used Force Cage on my players once in Sword Coast Guard, and that was awesome. Basically, once you're trapped in it, you're in it for an hour, and there's no concentration. But it is like, I think it's an 8th level spell, or a 7th or 8th level spell, so it's a pretty powerful spell, but that's a good spell. Fierce says that bourbon helps with throat and eloquence. Yeah, I'm not a very eloquent person. I can talk a lot, but I'm not very eloquent. I have a very, like, plebeian speech, I believe. I've always found is combining spells that can destroy balance. Plant growth, melee enemies no longer... Plant growth, oh, that's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. I might use it on my players. Healing Spirit, that's the one, dude. Healing Spirit, broken beyond all belief. Now, in combat, it might not be broken, but out of combat, just dumb broken. You can basically cast this spell. The idea is you cast Healing Spirit, and it's a 5-foot square, and it lasts for a minute, I believe. And then every time somebody goes into it, they get healed for a certain amount of damage. The idea is that you cast this spell, and then out of combat, and then all of your players basically run around in a circle, going through it every round, and everybody gets healed for like 10d8 points of damage or something like that. I don't know. But it's really broken, and I believe... I want to say it's like a 1st level spell or something like that. It's a very... It might be 3rd, I don't know. But it's not a very high level spell, and it heals tons of damage. Broken beyond all belief. I don't know how that made it into Xanathar's. I mean, as soon as one of my players told me about it at our table, we all agreed that that's broken as crap, and we're not using that way. Elven Accuracy, yes. Another Xanathar's thing. Elven Accuracy is a bunch of garbage. The thing about Elven Accuracy is it gives you, like, what did we decide we called it? We called it like triple advantage or something like that. I forget the details of Elven Accuracy, but there was definitely something about it that at my Sword Coast Guard group we had a discussion about it, probably along with Healing Spirit, and we all decided that it was broken beyond belief, or it was broken enough that we weren't going to use it at the table. And that's another thing, guys. A lot of times, as a Dungeon Master, I don't just make a decision and say, this is the way we're doing it. I like to discuss with my players. I like to talk with them and see what they think about things. It's better, in my opinion, to have an open discussion about, hey, look at this magic item, look at this spell, look at this ability. Let's talk about it, because I have a feeling that it's probably too powerful or something. And then talk about it as a group. And if you can come to a basic consensus, or even explaining to your players, having a discussion and then kind of making a ruling, but coming to that, being able to talk it out so that they understand your reasoning behind it, makes it more palatable for your players and makes it less likely for them to, like, you know, have a negative reaction to whatever it is you guys are talking about. So that's a quick DM tip for you. All right, we're about done here. Sir Matthew, what's up, dude? Healing Spirit, I agree, dude. Agreed. Fierce says Sentinel and Quarterstaff Master is basically a huge wall that stops enemies. Oh yeah, I had a Paladin once that was a Sentinel and a Great Weapon Master and something else with great weapons, I think, and he was a powerhouse. That was a good combination, very good combination for sure. Sir Matthew says the longest campaign you ever DM'd. Well, right now we are in my longest campaigns. My Manus Invictus group has been going on for about 3 years now. And they're all level 20s, and we're about ready to reset at level 1. Sword Coast Guard is almost 3 years. Maybe it's 4 years for those. I don't know. I lost track of time. Those are the groups I first started up when I was playing 5th edition, and I don't have the same players for sure. Players move on. You know, people move, people get jobs, people lose interest, and so every time I lose a player, I go find a new player. And if a dungeon master, in my opinion,
if a dungeon master wants to keep games going, he needs to be able to find replacement players. I use Reddit. I use Game Shop posters. I don't play with friends. I mean, most of my players have become my friends, but I don't just only limit myself to finding players that are my friends, because you only have so many friends and you only have so many that even want to play D&D. And so I play with strangers. I pull them into my groups. We play D&D. We have fun. We become friends. It's really cool. But if you want to keep, in my opinion, one of the tricks to keeping a campaign going for a long period of time is, as players leave, you find new players to replace them, and then you keep on going. Otherwise, 5 players becomes 4, becomes 3. I gotta be careful which fingers I pull down. Becomes 2, and then at some point you're like, well, I guess that campaign fizzled out. But as soon as that 5 players becomes 4, you find a new player. Comes 5 again, right? As soon as I'm dropping players, I'm looking for new ones, and I'm getting more so that I can keep my games going. That's one trick to running long campaigns. I think another trick is to run interesting and fun games that make your players want to stay. I hear footsteps. Somebody's coming down here. Oh no. I once heard there was once a complaint. People complain a lot, I think, about online games and not being able to keep players. Like they say that players will just kind of blow you off and leave and stuff like that. And there are always DMs complaining about not being able to keep players, and players just keep leaving and stuff. But I think one of the tricks to, keeping players around is running good games. And when you run a good game, people want to come back. And so I don't think that dungeon masters should blame players when they leave all the time. A dungeon master should always have a good amount of healthy introspection. Am I running fun and engaging games that my players enjoy, or am I not? And always be looking to improve the game you're running so that your players want to stay. So I don't know how we got on that tangent. I got a simple question and I gave you a complex answer. Longest campaign. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thanks so much. Yep. See ya, Alpha Draco. This is the last question. One last question, Oscar, and we are done. I'm gonna answer Mr. Hernandez's question, and then we're out of here, guys, because it's after 11 and I'm tired. He says, "Hi, do you use the magic items table of the Dungeon Master Guide?" I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm gonna read it again. Do you use the random magic item table? Yes, we do. In fact, you probably just arrived, which is fine. But at the very beginning of the adventure, that's what we were doing. We were in the Dungeon Master Guide, and we were using the random magic item tables, which are around here. That is exactly what we did tonight. We were basically spending most of the stream rolling on these tables and generating magic items for our adventure. And this is the adventure we ended up coming up with. And so that is what we were doing most of the night. So the answer to the question is yes, I do use them. Absolutely. Sometimes I cheat, and if I don't like the results, I roll again on the tables. DM's prerogative. So that's it. All right, guys, that is everything for tonight. So thank you all for joining us. We will be. So my goal, everyone, is to do a live stream every 2 weeks. And so we will probably be doing this in 2 more weeks, most likely on a Friday. So I don't know what date that is. I mean, I can look it up. It's sometime in January. And so we'll live stream then and hang out with you all. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll do something fun. And might make some more adventures. We might make some NPCs. Let me know, like shoot me something somewhere on Twitter or something. I don't know, somewhere where I hang out. Oh, my Discord. If you guys haven't joined me in the Discord, there's a link to my Discord server down below in the description. Make sure you check that out. Come join us over there. You can shoot me ideas for what we could do in live stream that you guys would find fun. I'm always open to different things. I like question and answers too. So there we go, guys. Hope you guys all enjoyed this, and let me find out how to close things. There we go. And until next time, let's play D&D. That's my mandatory closing.